Okay. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
President Byrne,
Here.
Trustee Hebda, Trustee Cook,
Here?
Trustee Markwart,
Here.
Trustee Schultz, Trustee Schwartz,
Here.
Trustee Williams.
Here.
We have a quorum. Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. The hell? It's like
No, it's weird.
it's like the condiments at a restaurant, you know. Okay. Are there any citizens that wish to address the board tonight on anything other than what's on committee to hold? Because if it's on committee to hold, then you can address us, or we'll recognize you. Okay. With that said, first item, proclamation, September 2012 is Texting and Driving Awareness Month, and September 19th, 2012 is No Text on Board Pledge Day. That's not a bad one. All right. The Village of Vernon Hills holds the health and safety of its young adults as a chief concern. Well, it's all people, right? When it comes to texting and messaging. Texting and messaging is the main mode of communication for most American teenagers, with half of all teens sending between 21 and 70 text messages a minute. No, that's supposed to be a day. And 90% of American teenagers expect to reply to a text message within 5 minutes. That's interesting. Texting takes one's eyes off the road for an average of 5 seconds. In an AT&T survey, 43% of American teenage drivers admitted to texting while driving, even though 97% know it is dangerous. A recent study showed those who send text messages while driving are 23 times more likely to crash. A driver that sends a text message while driving not only jeopardizes his or her safety, but also the safety of passengers, pedestrians, and other drivers. Now, therefore, I, Roger L. Byrne, President, and the Board of Trustees do hereby proclaim September 2012 as Texting and Driving Awareness Month, and September 19th, 2012 as No Texting on Board Pledge Day in the Village of Vernon Hills, and encourage all drivers to take the pledge to never text and drive again. Trustee Cook.
Yeah, just to add on to that, Chief, isn't this the first year in how long that traffic deaths in Illinois and even nationwide are on the rise, as opposed to, I mean, hasn't it been steadily declining for like 30 years? Until the last couple years. And most of the studies I'm seeing, the only difference is the cars are safer, the seatbelt laws are all good, everything for years and years has been bringing the death toll down every year until distracted driving has become such an epidemic. And most of the studies I've seen, that's the only thing that's different in the last few years. The cars are safer, all the other laws are still in place. The only new thing in the equation is distracted driving, and that's got to be the only reason that traffic deaths are on the incline for the first time in 40 or 50 years. Yeah. So.
Well, in addition to that, the pedestrian, you know, a lot of people, you know, you see them texting, you know, and crossing the street, you know. It's like, that's extremely dangerous. And I think I don't know, it was the Tribune Sun-Times or something, they had a bunch of, I think a couple of articles just recently on people that have gotten, you know, hit in crosswalks like downtown. So, I mean, you got to pay attention when you're in harm's way. And a car usually wins over the pedestrian, you know, and the over-under is you probably could be under the car, you know, or over the top of it. So with that said, the next item on the agenda is, let's see, Village Manager call-in ride and 8th Annual Law Enforcement Exhibit coming up.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to announce, Pace has a new service in town, and it includes most of Vernon Hills, or a large part of Vernon Hills, and a piece of Mundelein, and it's a call and ride service, or a dial bus type service, and it runs from about 6 a.m. to approximately 6 p.m. So it's a great service. It's $1.75 per one-way trip, and it's something I would really urge people to use, because if we want to keep it, of course, pace constantly, as they should, look at the numbers of users. It's another service, and you know, looking through this whole thing, there, Mike will have the phone number on the screen, but it's 224-735-8678. That is the number to call for that service, and it's Monday through Friday service. But you know, in town we also have the Vernon, and I should say about the call and ride. One thing I'm talking to Pace about, it does not cover west of the Village Hall here, Country Club Estates, in the Westmoreland area at
Really?
83. And I asked them, that's an area that we received a number of phone calls when they truncated those fixed routes a couple of years ago. So they're going to take a look at that, but they want to run this service for a while before they consider it.
What was the route? Westmoreland to Oakwood, or?
Right, and that filled in the piece Westmoreland, Oakwood, back to
Butterfield?
Westfield. To Hawthorne, yeah, Westfield, Hawthorne.
But it'd take Butterfield Road there.
Yeah,
on
and
60.
Butterfield and back up on 60, yeah.
Huh.
So this would serve, I mean, in theory, you could even take it to the commuter lot and use it if you lived in Deer Path.
Yeah.
You could, because it runs at 6 a.m. and it runs till 6
So
p.m.
it comes right down Deer Path.
Right, and it's responsive to your, you know, call.
If you wave your hand, will they?
No, you have to call that number and make a
What if
reservation.
he's in transit and you call?
I suppose you could do it on any don't text them though.
If
But
you're
call,
standing
yeah.
there, you just call him.
Yeah, I suppose, no, well, there's a reservation system you have to go through.
What if you were down in my area and you wanted to go to the train station?
I'm looking at the map here. You could do it. The problem is, it doesn't have Greg's Landing in it. It basically runs from and Mike can put it on the screen, but the EJ&E is the northern part. Milwaukee's the east. West is basically 45 to 21, and then out to Mundelein to Hawley. So you can go out that way into Mundelein. So it's a great, you know, service for doctor's appointments, shopping, different things. Really, I just wanted to mention the other ones too, and we'll put this all on the website and they have
Right.
links to it. But when you take a look at, there's the Vernon Township Dial Ride. You probably see their buses in town. Then there's the Libertyville Township Dial Ride. There's our senior bus, of course, that we operate Monday through Friday, approximately 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. for seniors 55 and older.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, the two fixed routes that the mayor mentioned that still exist. One Westfield going north to Waukegan, and one Westfield going south to Niles.
So,
Niles.
Mike, you're looking at the map, right?
Right.
Okay, so how do you know from this map, if it goes on the website, that you can catch it going down Deer Path? Does it just say that somewhere? Because the
Well,
map
it's-
isn't highlighted in the color that says this is a route.
Yeah, well, those are, yeah.
So because you gotta make the phone call?
Correct. And the routes you see on there are their fixed routes.
Yeah.
And the dark gray line, that is the outside parameter.
Well, maybe
of
we
the
can make
service
something
area.
up to,
To better illustrate
Yeah,
it.
to
Yeah,
be
you're right.
amplified
Yeah.
on it.
It is a little unclear. We were looking at it.
Yeah, you know, okay.
But, yeah, it's a great,
Yeah.
it's a new service. And again, it's another good option.
All right.
So, and I don't know, Deputy Chief Davies is here. I don't know, Rick, if you want to say anything. The 8th Annual Exposition is this weekend, and it's a great event, great demonstrations, and
Yeah, we have approximately 20 departments participating in it. There'll be a helicopter night again on Sunday, weather permitting, at 2 p.m. at the southeast Sears Mount area. And then there'll be canine demonstrations throughout the day on Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
how it works, right?
And it's at Westfield Hawthorne.
It's at Westfield Mall on Saturday, the September 8th, from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., and then on Sunday, September 9th, from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay. Any other comments or questions on this? All right. Next is the omnibus vote agenda. Is there a motion to approve items A through G? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion is second. Comments, questions? If none, roll call.
Trustee Cook,
Aye.
Trustee Markwart,
Aye.
Trustee Schultz, Trustee Schwartz,
Aye.
Trustee Williams,
Aye.
Trustee Hebda.
Motion carries. Next item is unfinished business. Approval of the Kemper voucher list of bills dated September 5th, 2012, in the amount of $11,984.26. Is there,
Motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Trustee-
Comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Trustee Markwart,
Aye.
Trustee Schultz, Trustee Schwartz,
Abstain.
Trustee Williams,
Aye.
Trustee Hebda, Trustee Cook.
Aye.
And Mayor.
Only three.
Oh,
And Mayor.
Mayor Byrne.
Aye. And I might add the Sox won today.
They did.
Okay.
After
Not
losing
that-
after losing by a touchdown last night.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that was special last night. I was there. Okay, approval of the August 21st, 2012 Village Board meeting minutes.
There you
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Motion is second. Comments or corrections or deletions? If none, roll call, please.
Trustee Schultz, Trustee Schwartz,
go. Aye.
Trustee Williams,
Aye.
Trustee Hebda, Trustee Cook,
Aye.
Trustee Markwart.
Aye.
Motion carries. C, approval and passage of Resolution 2012-148, resolution authorizing the implement of a fiber link and a licensed microwave link to advanced business networks to improve the reliability of the village's internet access and the authorizing an increase in the dispatch center fiscal year 2012-13 budget by $27,200.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Motion is second. How do we go about, finding it's Advanced Business Network, right?
Right, that's our
So how do we-
IT provider.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Did we is this one of the things we have to bid out?
That part of it is professional services. The one piece of this is we're getting quotes on the microwave link, to get the license. That's a function of equipment, so that will get a couple prices on.
Okay.
The other piece of it is a physical, just making that fiber link, that's about $4,000. And the balance of it is $830 a month for the actual AT&T connection. And as noted here, we'll save $295 because we're going to get rid of one of the T1 lines.
Right.
So it's a trade-off. We're having anybody who works here realizes that on the internet, the slowdown is huge. And the speculation is interference. We've had about 3 or 4 meetings the staff talked about, had our consultant come in, had the microwave guy come in, the whole bit. We went through it with Jim Dunning and Ed Mankey at the police department. And we think we have it down to, as stated in the memo, there's interference to our microwave link, which is a non-licensed link. So we share it like so there's a potential for interference. What we're suggesting, as Larry mentioned in his memo, a two-pronged thing. One would be the installation of a licensed internet link, and then the next thing would be this fiber link. So then we have some redundancy, because just for police, we need it for ourselves, obviously, but now we have two, customers. One's our partner we work with, Countryside, and the other one is Libertyville Fire and Police. So the reliability is an important thing.
Okay. Any other comments or questions on this? If not, do we have a motion and a second? Roll call.
Trustee Schwartz?
Aye.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda? Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Motion carried. Okay, any new business or communication to come before the board? I have a request that I don't know if it's between the Park District or Public Works, it would be concerted effort to kind of trim some of the pathways. And and because a lot of people use them, even like by the railroad tracks, the crossing here leading up to the mobile station, the sidewalk is half, grown over with the, so I don't know if that's the service station or us, but it needs to be, it's a high traffic area, and then I'll call you tomorrow with some other stuff. But I mean, I noticed some areas in my travels.
Sure, any input that you can give us on more specifics, be glad.
Well,
to
usually,
those.
and it's part of that section down, Route 21, it's borders Corporate Woods. You
In the Arbor Theater,
Along
there,
40.
Yeah.
almost, Dave, everywhere where there's a sidewalk, the vegetation
Yeah,
started
there's
to
a lot,
grow
yeah.
now.
Currently,
again.
just so everyone knows, we're out at Hawthorne Club right now. We've been working in that area the last couple of weeks, and we're looking to move into other areas, so
Yeah.
we'll put that
Well,
on the list.
and also I'd note going south and Fairway Drive from the high school down to Route 45. And I don't know, or those plants I think are ours, aren't they? Or is it some?
Oh, just the ones before you get to,
No, behind all the
Waiting Lake,
houses.
yeah, right.
It's a pretty long
West
stretch.
side of Fairway is ours.
Okay, well, that needs to be
Okay,
trimmed up,
okay.
Okay, and then there's, okay, I'll call you, all right.
Thank you, sir.
Ah, God, all right. Next is any other new business communication. If none, is there any reason not to adjourn the board meeting? Do we have to bring anything back from committee of the whole?
No.
Okay, are we going to close session for anything?
Yes, just litigation,
Just litigation?
correct.
Okay. All right, is there a motion to adjourn the board meeting and go to committee of the whole?
so move. Second.
Motion is second, roll call, please.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda? Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz? Trustee Schwartz?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. I'd like to call the committee of the whole meeting to order. First item is approval of committee of the whole minutes of August 21st, 2012. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Comments, questions, corrections, deletions? If none, roll call.
Trustee Schultz? Trustee Schwartz?
Aye.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda? Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is Bucky's Express Mobile Station, 294 East Town Line Road.
Thank you,
Is
Mr.
the petitioner here tonight? or-
They are here tonight to answer.
You want to step forward, please?
Do you want me to do the summation, Your Honor, before they do?
All right, I can come up here, though. It's all right with me. These are the guys from Nebraska?
Representing the guys from Nebraska.
So you guys aren't from Nebraska? I used to live in Nebraska. Did you ever live in Nebraska?
No, I never lived in Nebraska. I live in the north suburbs.
That's okay. You guys want to state your name for the record, please?
Walter Hainsfurther, president of Kurtz Associates Architects and Displays.
Yeah.
Richard McMahon with Buchanan Energy, or Bucky's as you know it, from Rockford, Illinois.
Okay.
Buchanan appeared before the Plan Commission on August 29th to request 4 items. A special use permit to allow automobile service station, mini mart, and automobile laundry. 2 certain variations with regards to the setback and signage. 3 preliminary and final site and landscaping plan approval. And then 4 preliminary and final approval of the architectural elevations, including signage on the building. As you will recall, the committee saw this at a previous committee of the whole through a concept presentation. The request is to allow for the demolition of an existing service station and car wash and the construction of a new automobile service station, mini mart car wash on the subject property located at the corner of Town Line Road and Ring Road across from the mall. The proposal is to construct about a 6,900 square foot C-store with food and beverage, including alcohol, a tunnel-style car wash, air and vacuum stations, 28 parking spaces, enhanced landscaping, a new canopy, and an 8-pump island to serve customers coming in for fuel and/or food. Existing entrances will be modified, although they will basically be in the same location and will be able to accommodate both vehicle and truck maneuvering in and out of the property. The use will also be open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In your packet is a set of the plans that were provided to the Planning and Zoning Commission. They include elevations for the buildings, signage plan, revised landscaping and site plans, along with elevations for the canopy again, over the pump islands. Overall, the commission reviewed this matter and felt that the proposal was appropriate for the location. As you know, because this was a public hearing, notices were sent out to surrounding property owners, of which no one appeared to speak either for or against the proposed improvements to the site. With that, the Planning and Zoning Commission took 4 actions with regards to the proposal. Each of the actions, the vote was 5-1 to recommend approval, with 1 member voting against the petition in each of the instances. The comment basically was he felt there were too many variations being requested. So the Plan Commission voted 5-1 to recommend approval subject to the conditions that are attached in your packet. Those included general compliance with the plans that were submitted and those plans in your packet with the notes that are shown on those plans. The variations that, again, are noted in your packet, items 1 through 6. The signage plan, which, again, is noted in your packet and also with regards to the variations. And then finally, the conditions of approval for the site being conditions 1 through 18 in your summation that you have attached. I'll note that condition 5 of this, of the conditions of approval, is requesting that the property owner provide a right-of-way dedication off of New Century Street. It's a small triangular piece of property that should have been dedicated to us, I think, when Mobil previously owned the property and ultimately dedicated the road to us, but did not. So a portion, we believe a portion of the curb and actually a portion of the pavement is still on the Buchanan property. So we're looking to clean that up, and they've agreed to do that. They've also agreed to the remaining conditions within the report itself and the like. So with that, if the committee feels that the request is appropriate, it's recommended that the staff be directed to prepare the necessary ordinance granting approval to the special use permit, along with certain variations and approval of the preliminary and final site landscaping, building elevations, and signage plans for the property as attached in your packet.
Do we have, you know, any building materials?
Yes, we do.
Where are they at?
We'll get them right here.
And do we have a, you know, like pictures of a Buc-ee's? You know?
None like this.
This is,
Design.
this is like the A+ prototype?
Yes.
What do you mean, right? It's all just,
This is a new design.
it's all
for
drawings,
us.
you know? You didn't work anything up of.
I would say, Mr. President, that we met with Trustee Schwartz and Trustee Hebda before we appeared before the Planning and Zoning Commission to talk about the materials and the elevations, and their input was very valuable in us arriving at this palette. So we appreciate that, and we appreciate their efforts on it. The biggest issue, I think, for the trustees was making sure that the brick came close to matching the shopping center that was behind us. And so we're suggesting this Harvard blend here. that brick as the brick item. On the top of the building and on some of the sides is a concrete fiber panel. It's a very durable material. It comes with a 30-year material warranty and a 20-year color warranty. This is not the exact color. It will be colored, it will be created to match the color palette that the Buc-ee's has decided upon. Again, in consultation with the trustees, they've wanted a gray palette to match what we anticipate Westfield coming in with. And so 50%, 50% of the, and it's a mix, as you can see in the renderings that have been provided to you, there's some color variation in those panels. So 50% of them are a color called warm stone. That's that color on the bottom. I apologize, it's not a bigger sample. And then 25% each are a new gray and the.
Well, you don't even
agreeable
have
gray
to
there.
color those. It's like.
Pardon me?
You don't have to color those. It looks like concrete.
Well, it does look quite a bit like concrete, but it does get colors.
Okay.
So, and then finally, there's some, it's a cast stone material that goes around the rest of the material, and that's this material here, this Arriscraft. So the lighter colors that you see that are along the back and the sides of the building, that's this Arriscraft material, which is a cast stone.
And what's the size of the building you're going to put up?
The size of the building in square footage is about 6,000 square feet. It's approximately 4,800 square feet of convenience store.
Yeah.
And the rest of it would be the tunnel car wash that's behind it.
Yeah, so the car wash or auto laundry that
Auto
exists
laundry.
now,
Technically.
that'll be gone.
That will be
And
gone.
then-
All the improvements that are
Be
on the,
incorporated into 6,000
right,
square feet. of
all the
building.
improvements that are on the site today will be removed.
What's the actual size of that parcel? It's not an acre.
Huh? It is greater than an acre? I'm
Is it
looking
really?
on my survey to see whether it says how big it is.
Dave, how big is it?
It's 1.45 acres,
Wow. Really?
really.
Okay, so, and you're going to add a lot more, islands and?
We'll have
bumps
8
and-
islands as opposed to currently, I believe there are 4.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you're going to use the whole parking lot.
we'll use the whole lot more efficiently.
Okay, and so the ingress and egress is going to be the same?
It's very similar. There will be one less, actually, there's one less access point off of New Century. Where there are 2 very close together now, there'll be only one.
Oh, okay.
And then, while the Ring Road access will be slightly reconfigured, it'll be approximately in the same place. And we've worked
Yeah.
with staff to make sure that dissuades, let's put it that way, left-hand turns out off of Ring Road.
Could you
Really?
slide that top thing over so we could see the brick?
Sure.
Thank you.
You're right, that wasn't very Hopefully it'll set.
So, okay, so people coming from what direction will be discouraged from making a left?
People coming out of our property and wanting to turn left and go north on Ring Road, the configuration of the driveway will hopefully act to discourage them from a
Well,
left
and you
out.
have the raised median in there
We have
too.
we have
so-
a
Yeah, I
median
don't
in
think they
there.
can do that.
So basically, you'll only be able to make a right-hand turn out of there?
That's what it is now, I think.
No.
Thanks.
Onto Ring.
Onto
Off
Ring.
of Ring Road, they will be allowed to go southbound, turn into the site. You'll be able to leave the site and go southbound towards 60. The other,
Yeah, so you won't be able to get it back on the Ring Road and go up the Milwaukee Avenue.
Well, can
you
go-
will be able
yeah,
to
so
go
We
out
have to
here.
go on to New
New
Century.
Century Road you
If you
will.
come out of the north
the
end.
east-west road from Dominic's Hobby Lobby going
Yeah.
easterly.
Okay, that'll still exist.
That'll still
Correct.
exist. You can
Okay,
take a
just
left, go
gonna tighten up-
northbound.
You're going to tighten up the widths of the entrances and make them more defined.
Correct.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Wow, the low.
I just got one question. We've been, Mike Atkinson and council and other staff members, we've been, toying with putting up directional signs for some of the business off of Center Drive, and I don't know how many of them would participate, but, it also involved, of course, off of Lakeview and 60, that would be, another area if, OPA's ever gets a second restaurant user in there or not, but what's the chances of putting up some kind of a sign to let people know? If we address this, have you looked at this now in when your recommendation of the sign on a public right of way? Has this been addressed at this location?
Not at this location, the
Well, yeah.
focus,
I mean, in reality, what they're doing is it's a lot closer to like whether it's a Babies R Us or, NTB or Brunswick Bowl or Whirly Ball,
yeah, it is closer. Our recent research has been focused solely on village right-of-way signs.
Yeah.
And
And there's
not-
no right of way over there?
Well, Ring Road is a private drive.
Well, yeah, well, I know that. Well, then fine. Why don't we talk to Bucky here?
We
Or
don't,
Mr. Bucky?
we don't control Ring Road.
Mr.
That-
Bucky has no expression on his face. This is kind of priceless.
He doesn't quite understand what you're
We're looking to put up some kind of a just identification sign for the businesses that are kind of tucked away in the back.
To the north of you,
That don't-
behind
that
Babies
don't
R
sell
Us and all of
gasoline.
that back there.
I'm just asking him if we could,
So it
if
would-
something could be potentially, no, not just Opus. I'm talking Brunswick Bowl, Whirly Ball, back in there. Well, I don't know. I mean, they're doing major renovations there. I'm just throwing it out there for chewing. Unless we,
Well,
these guys, go ahead.
Forgive me, Your Honor. To your point, the staff has reviewed this, and we're prepared to have a discussion with you at the 18th meeting.
Well, I understand
with
it,
some- with
because
some
it
other.
doesn't involve this area.
Well, no, because there's no public right-of-way that's
Well,
available.
that's why I brought it up to these gentlemen.
Right. So, but then it becomes an off-premise sign that currently is not allowed in the ordinance,
So, which we're gonna address.
which we're going to discuss at the next.
All right, but I'd certainly like one of you to talk to the powers that be, whether or not we could put up somewhere on your property a directional sign for these other entities. And, and I'm sure we're not gonna, they'd have to pay, something to you for rent or lease or what have you.
We'll look at it.
What did you say?
We'll look at it.
Oh, okay. I didn't say it that loud. Okay, well, this isn't coming back for approval for a while, right? For board level?
Well, it depends on what action the committee takes tonight, and traditionally, we would bring it back in 2 weeks for consideration of an ordinance if you so direct.
Right.
And.
Well, why don't you at least share what I'm discussing that you guys have, manufactured along these lines?
We certainly can do that. Again,
It's not gonna have an effect on approving this tonight.
well, I understand it. The issue, though, in this situation is you haven't seen what we're proposing yet.
Well, I got a pretty good idea I think I saw something that Mike had.
Okay,
Mike Atkinson,
okay,
having drifted through the hall and the red light went off.
okay. We'll share what we got.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay,
Mayor,
go ahead.
a question, Trustee Schwartz and I were talking about. Could you illustrate where the darker material is on the face of the building?
Yes.
That material, yes.
It's mixed in with the other two shades. It's the color for these panels.
No.
Oh, so all three of those colors?
All
would
three of
be?
those
Oh.
colors are used. It's a striated panel.
Oh.
And-
50% of the dark and then 25% of each of the others too.
And then over the windows, that's just a shading illustration? That where the
Windows
dark
is an
is,
eyebrow, an aluminum,
oh, okay,
like
And it's-
eyebrow that's.
And it's
sticks out.
shading.
oh,
And it
okay,
shades, yes, it does shade the windows.
okay.
Is that a gray color, that darker color, or is that, I mean, here it
It's-
looks
it's
kind of
a-
like an
it's a-
olive green.
It's a brownish gray. It is gray, but it has a lot of brown in it. It's a warm gray as opposed to a cool gray.
All right,
Yeah.
Dave, and staff, but are you satisfied with how the traffic's gonna flow through here? Are we still working on that, or?
You know, ideally, I would recommend that the alignment of the gas pumps be similar to what is out there today. That's not going to work in their plan. So what they are proposing, they have made remedies to try to address that and mitigate it as best as possible, so there's not too much stacking and congestion.
Right.
It's a very tight site with what they're trying
Right.
to accomplish.
Yeah.
But in terms of overall circulation patterns, I don't think it'll greatly change from what we see today.
Oh.
There may be some occasions that people are waiting for a pump and it may cause some congestion more internally.
Well, that's where we want it to be.
That's a good thing.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, it's okay.
No, you were starting to say
that-
something.
One of the things we think that's mitigated by is the expansion of the number of pumps. So instead of, you're going to have 16 potential fueling positions, so we don't anticipate.
And what's
much
going to be
of a backup.
is this meeting all the setbacks now for this building from 60 and?
No, that's several of the variations. They need a variation from the west property line. They need a variation from the north property line with regards to the air pump and the vacuum station and the trash enclosure. They need a variation from the buffer requirement on the south side. But again, the buffer in that instance is very comparable to what you see next door at the shopping center. So it's
Well, what was the buffer supposed to be? It's like 50 feet?
25 feet.
25 feet.
Yep.
And this is going to be, what, half that?
11. And then there's a piece of right-of-way that juts really close, so it's actually down to about a foot in one location, so.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Because of-
You're that close to 60?
The 60 right-of-way actually pushes towards their property. It's like a bump.
Yeah, but I'm just saying the actual distance of their curb, they're going to have a non-mountable barrier curb around all this?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so if I'm, looking south at 60, how far am I going to be away from the road?
The majority of it will be, well, from the right-of-way line, the majority of it will be 11 feet. And it'll have landscaping and some undulation in the land. And then there's
There
one
gonna be
small,
any other barrier, fence, guardrail, something like that?
no, sir.
It'll be like it is now?
It'll just be a curb, yes.
How high?
Are we doing
6 inches.
B612?
No problem.
Dave? Or standard curb?
So basically, if some crazy comes flying through there, they could certainly get over 6 inches, right? And go right out onto 60.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I always thought of that the way it was set up now. Huh. Do we have anything in our ordinance that would require anything of a more substantial barrier?
I mean, we could require a 9-inch curb, kind of like what we have here over by the railroad tracks, if that's a concern. I mean,
That might help, right?
the 6 inches is standard.
Yeah.
So we could require that if you'd like.
I would.
Okay.
I don't know about the rest of the board feels, but if you're putting that many more cars in there,
Well, I think the intent of those parking spaces, correct me if I'm wrong, are to be for employees.
Correct.
that'll be facing south.
Correct.
Okay. Is there any kind of a parking barrier there then? That they, a stop? Concrete stop?
No, they
Pull
would,
into the parking space?
the curb is intended to do that. So,
So if we put 9 inches in, we'll be tearing the hell out of the front of somebody's car.
well, they're going to open an alignment shop or a body shop later, so.
Okay, well, is there not enough room to put in kind of the standard, parking stop?
I'm sure there is.
I'm just asking,
The problem generally with those parking stops is that they get beat up quite a bit, and when it snows and the plow comes through, they get busted out anyway. I think the curb, they'd have to jump really 2 curbs to wind up on 60, not only our curb, but the curb on 60 as well. We just don't anticipate, we've not found it to be a problem.
Now, the curve at 60, you'd be going down.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, so we're only jumping one.
Right.
All right, well, we already had an episode there of that nature.
Not that I know.
Not that I'm aware of.
All right.
Yeah, and I can't think of any
Okay.
place in town that we have those, so.
And we would have people pulling out of the pumps towards 60 in the current configuration, so.
Now
Yeah,
the
I'm
point.
having a hard time orienting on this. But any,
Okay, well then I'll withdraw my request if you're satisfied of the safety issue, and it's just, gonna be- a lot of times there's just gonna be people parking it.
Right.
Okay,
yeah, I know. I would have,
any trustee Williams,
no, that's,
oh, trustee Markwood.
Just a question, I know that it was brought up, I know the pumps, there are 8 pumps are gonna be situated. I don't know if it seems so tight in there, if they were put on an angle, I mean, they're gonna have to come in from the south side to enter in most cases, and enter on it. If you put the pumps on an angle, everything stays stationary, but the curb area where the pumps line up, to line them in somewhat of a 45-degree or 40-degree angle?
See, we got a big
Does that
drawing
make
to
it
look
easier
at.
for the cars? Because
Anybody
I'm-
from staff?
It was mentioned about
I mean,
stacking.
the big drawing,
We
No,
discussed
I don't,
it,
sorry.
And that actually, in our experience,
Sometimes
is
that
considerable in the business.
kinda helps.
We don't do that because that means that the dispensers can only be approached from one direction. And if people come in off a New Century, they may come down between the store and the MPDs in our way, and they can turn at an MPD because their car has a
Either
fuel
left
on
or
the
right
inside,
side.
and face out towards Ring Road.
Well,
You
my,
have 2 ways, it's much more efficient.
right, my concern was only the fact that if you had a stacking, it eliminates a half a car length, which someone could pull around
It
on.
creates conflicts if you do that
Okay.
on site, the internal circulation.
Okay.
you know,
Let's
just,
suggest-
you know, John, you don't have to find it now, but, you know, for future reference, we should have, you know, this is a nice little box here, but sometimes the bigger version of the piece of paper they're holding is,
Yes, sir.
okay, go ahead. What do you think, Barb? Anything?
Well, my suggestion was the curbs. and I
my
said-
opinion, I don't like it, but.
Yeah, well,
That's
you know,
beside the
this
point.
is the time, I don't know. Okay,
I think it's very congested.
Well, I mean.
he agrees,
other
I got a
than- no, I
smile
didn't
out of
say
it.
that, no, we
Oh,
don't
okay.
agree.
Oh,
$3 billion
oh.
down, and we know it's gonna work the way it is right here. We've been in, I have 30 years in the business, the other gentleman that runs the company has.
All right,
30 years in
you
the
know,
business.
at a similar site such as this, do you have a building this big on any other
Yes.
site with 8 islands?
All
yes.
of our stores in Omaha.
Okay, how many entrances and exits?
It
2?
varies. We have.
Well, you have more than one, usually?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
You have 2, 3, 4 sometimes?
usually 2.
Do you ever have more than 2?
On modern ones, occasionally.
Okay.
Usually IDOT and all the counties,
And
they cut it back to 1.
And in Omaha, I would venture, what are the size of the lots or the parcels? That could, you know,
They're approximately the same size.
in all truthfulness.
Excuse me?
I said in all truthfulness. You only want 1.5 acre lots for your service station of this size.
Yes. And I've built ones in the Chicago area
Well, yeah.
before I joined, and we call this a starting gate canopy layout, and you kind of see with the picture the way
Yeah.
it works. It's a common configuration for a lot that's narrow and long, and it works. It's a question of.
So
how-
basically, I'm sorry for interrupting, but
Yeah, go
basically
ahead.
you're saying that if it's on a lot for 1.5 acres, this is the layout you would have normally?
Yes.
No, if we had.
As a rule of
if we had
thumb.
a square lot with a
Right.
different, this is a long lot. If we had
I
a
know.
square lot, we would configure it in tandem, where we have dispensers in one row and dispensers in another row, and you have to pass each other under the canopy to get out. It's all a function of the configuration of the lot.
And the canopy's gonna cover all 8 stations?
Correct.
Yes, it will.
And I would say, we've done similar facilities. Our firm's been doing our gas stations for 50 years, and seen the evolution of them. And we've done similar facilities on smaller lots, actually, than this. It depends on the configuration, it depends on the setbacks. I would also say that, 2 things. First of all, that gasoline's a convenience item, and if the lot looks congested, somebody's going to go down the road to the next opportunity.
Right.
So it's not in our best interest for the lot to be overly congested, because we're going to have potential customers go someplace else. That's why we have the number of dispensers we do, so that that people get in, they can fuel very quickly and get out. The other thing I would tell you is that these are not traffic generators, they're traffic tappers. So all we're looking to do is take a car off the road for a period of time. People don't go out of their way to go to a gas station. They're on their way to or from another errand. And so they are, it's just taking it off. And usually if they're headed westbound on 60, they're going to go back westbound on 60. They're not going to be turning around to go back east on 60.
If you keep your price low enough, they'll turn around.
Yeah.
May I ask, one second?
Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Is the driveway, the existing west driveway that goes behind the car wash now?
Yes.
Will that still be there?
No.
That will be gone.
That's the one that goes. And what happens is that the driveway there'll be one driveway off of New Century, and that's what you were asking about, because that goes out on New Century. There's one driveway on New Century. It aligns with the driveway that's across the street, which we think creates a safer condition.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Raj.
Okay, what's the size of the actual car wash?
The size,
The
you're talking about the
square footage.
length?
Yeah, the
It's 2,301 square feet.
Okay. Now, how does that compare to the Ernie's building?
Well,
It's
I'll,
Oh, you're
that's
gonna-
good,
you're gonna
'cause I'm
speak
a
to
very
Ernie's?
very
The
familiar with
convenience store?
Ernie's. Huh?
I mean, the convenience.
Well, I'm very familiar with that because we've done work for Shell for a number of years.
Well, that's not
That-
4,000 square.
No, but it also has, the conveyor sticks out past the entrance of the building, so that when you come in, you're actually entering the car wash outside of the building. In this case, all of the workings for the car wash are inside the building. It's a similar operation, but Ernie's is probably a 60-foot long building for the car wash, and then it sticks out another 25 feet beyond that building. So it's very similar in length. If you enclose that whole conveyor, it would be a very similar sized building. But because they don't.
How big is Ernie's? Is it bigger than 2,000 square feet?
No, it'll be smaller than 2,000 square
Okay,
feet
so-
because the building is shorter, because the conveyor sticks out beyond the end.
And your building is what? How many feet?
It's 100 feet,
100 feet.
111 feet, exactly.
Okay. And then the size of the convenience store, hence is what, 4,000 square feet?
It's 4,679.
Okay. How does that compare to any other convenience store operation in this town? Like Ernie's and across the street, which is Aaron Sloan's operation. Aaron Sloan's is a big building, so what's the square footage on that?
This is comparable to that in terms of size. In terms of Shell, I don't know, Walter, if you can.
I don't know the size of that mart.
4,000, it seems to me, is fairly comparable to your standard C-store.
Okay, when you talk to a 6,000 square foot building on an acre and a half, what would be the floor area ratio that's acceptable?
I think it's 0.5. You know what? Let me look it up.
While they're looking that up, would it be possible when you come back to have a picture, a real picture that we could see of one of your stores?
of one of our stores.
Or
We have
crank
not
this up
built-
on a computer,
We have
do what
not,
you can.
we have not
Come on.
built a store like this. This is a
I
new image
realize
for
that,
it.
but I'd like to
Protect-
see something that you do have
Right.
now. I realize it's not gonna be the same
Yeah,
store.
these drawings are kind of shaky.
Yeah,
you know.
it's just,
I know it's.
For a
well,
visual-
hey,
I don't know
might
what-
ask you,
Show us.
next, I might ask you for some roof detail, you know?
well, I'm not going
All
there.
right.
But what I'm trying to get at is, it would show me what one of your facilities
What do you get
looks
a
like.
flourish about 30?
Inside or
How is it-
outside are you interested in?
But they don't look the
The
same.
outside,
When
just,
we
I
went
wanna
to
see
parents'
an
meeting,
outside.
There is no FAR. The building coverage is 25% on the lot.
Yeah.
So,
Quite a bit under that.
right.
Well, you'd want to be, because you want to
Right.
dedicate much more to the traffic.
Trustee Williams, I guess what I don't understand is, we don't have a building that looks like this,
I
so.
realize that, but
what
you
you're
have a
going to s-
building that says Buc-ee's on it, somewhere.
Oh, sure, but
That's
it's,
what I wanna see.
but it's totally different than what
I
we're
don't
building.
care. I
Okay.
don't
Well,
care.
why
I
don't
just
you-
wanna
wait,
see
wait, wait,
one.
More accurately, why don't you just mock something up on this prototype, okay? That looks more like a finished project than that little picture there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I don't have my, I mean, John, if he's got that
Give it to
presentation.
your staff. You have a
Yeah,
very
the-
capable
right.
staff that has done all this.
Yeah.
And the other
I
committees
mean-
we've met.
Well, yeah, but, you know,
Well, we,
sometimes,
We
you
have
know,
wonderful staff.
I know.
And I will
No question.
absolutely tell you that.
No,
But I
nobody's
wanna
questioning
see
that.
what they see.
well, and we did have.
Thank you. Here's a mock-up.
it's a little
Okay.
bigger.
Right, well, that's, I mean, that's what we presented,
Right.
yeah. I didn't know that that wasn't in their packet.
It's
I've seen
electronic.
better
Huh?
concept
Electronic.
drawings than
TK.
that, you know.
It's in here,
I know, but
but you have to see it.
exactly, you have to see it like
I apologize, because I
That's okay.
assumed
Thank
that,
you.
that it was in your packet. We do. have-
Well,
It is.
that-
It's in
was
here,
there.
but it
That's
just doesn't-
Can I ask a
it
question?
loses something
You
on
know,
that little bitty
yeah.
screen.
You know, I know you look somewhat perplexed there, but I mean, what is Mobil Oil contributing to this project?
Nothing.
Really?
Well, what's happened is all the major oil companies have sold off what they call their downstream assets, which is everything from the end of the pipeline, really, at the refinery. They don't even own, most of them don't own the refineries even anymore, all the way down to the real estate at the station level. So they've done it in different strategies. Mobil, it sold 81 locations to Buc-ee's. Shell has entered into a partnership with Circle K. So you see, like, for instance, the Shell at Aptekissick and Tripp, not Aptekissick and Milwaukee, I'm sorry, which is now branded as Circle K. And then you see BP has sold theirs to 3 different independent distributors, much like Buc-ee's is, one that handles the north part of town, one that handles the central part, and one that handles the south part of town. So they are not in the gasoline sales business anymore.
Right.
So they have completely exited, and so they're not contributing anything
They
to
made
this
their money
project.
and they're getting out.
They've made their money
got
and
it.
they're out.
Right.
You gotta buy their son.
So this is entirely on this fairly small, independent businessman from Omaha who's going to run this.
Steve Buchanan started this business in 1981. He was a 17-year-old working as a mechanic in a shop. And when the gentleman that had that shop was retiring, he asked his parents to co-sign the loan to buy it. In that time, as an entrepreneur, he has built himself a company of modern stores and has the largest share of petroleum sales in the Omaha, Council Bluffs area, and that's a pretty good-sized community, even though it's out in the middle of what we think of as the plains. He was profitable enough and smart enough as an entrepreneur to be able to come up with a credit rating that when ExxonMobil exited this market and put 81 of their stores, all of their Chicago area stores on the market, he was able to go and buy them. And of the 81, he hired me. I had helped start a company called Road Ranger in 1994 and got out of it in 2006. And I had lived in Omaha and got my education in Nebraska before I went to the military and then came back. So I had a Nebraska connection. When I heard he came in here, I volunteered to do what I had done before, and that was build his business in the Chicago area because I know the business, I know the culture in Nebraska, and I know these stores in this area, having worked in the area since 1987. First with Phillips Petroleum, then with State Oil, and then with Road Ranger. My job was to look at the 81 assets, decide which ones we're going to spin off and which ones we're going to invest in and rebuild. That one in front of your shopping center there on Ring Road is an absolute derelict. When I first met John Calmar, he told me it was held together with chewing gum and baling wire, and that it probably ought to have the Public Works or the fire department have an office on the site.
Plus, it was a murder scene.
Yes, I understand that.
You do. That's good.
I know the history.
Because now you're going 24 hours.
So are there
Correct.
other Buc-ee's that you've done then out of some of those
This,
in
when we
Chicago,
came
or-
here, this one in Buffalo Grove and Carroll Stream were the first three that we've gone into zoning on. Carroll Stream were finished. On Buffalo Grove, we will be finished on Monday. So we're kind of like 2 weeks ahead
Where's it at,
of you.
Buffalo Grove?
It's
Arlington
on
Heights and 83. Across
Okay.
from the Shell McDonald's.
Right,
Now,
right.
when we first came in here with our Nebraska prototype store, your staff and members of the appearance committee greeted it with a yawn and said they didn't like it and go back to the drawing boards. It was well advised. We really did need to redo our layout, and you folks here at Vernon Hills were the impetus behind our redesigning the store. And it was well received by your folks up until this point here. Buffalo Grove raved over, Carroll Stream raved over, and it started with your people's evaluation and prodding. We're very proud of what we have, and we really want to be a good corporate citizen. We're going to take everything out of the ground on that site. It is going to be brand new from under the ground all the way to the top, and we're going to do a first-class job on it. The design has been the result of an extensive give and take, back and forth, and guidance from your staff working with us. I have never been in a community that has been so intensive and paid such attention to the details of the design.
That's why our
And it was
community
very
looks
helpful.
so beautiful.
Right.
That was very helpful. Buffalo Grove came in as a second. We're very proud of what we've come up with in collaboration, and we'd very much like to have approval and be able to build it and operate it. We believe from my 30 years and the owner's 30 years of experience that what we have here will flow properly. He's putting $3 to $4 million of his, money on it, and it's not a corporation where they go out and sell stock and, and if anything happens, they don't come after him. Steve Buchanan will sign the note. And like he signed the note for all the other stores he's built and bought. So.
With you
we know
buying that
what
many in
works.
this area, but you're only buying the one here in town of all our, because
No.
we've got,
We own.
you got,
We
you're
own
taking
the
other one too?
On Butterfield and
Okay, that's what I
16,
wanted to
but
find
there's a tenant in that one that's protected by a law that was passed in 1973 to protect tenants from, he's got a right in there and we can't terminate his lease.
But you
So-
do own the other one.
Lifetime
then.
lease?
Excuse me?
You own, then you're gonna own two of the three in town then, right? Yeah.
Those are the two we own in your
There's
community.
4 mobiles in town.
Four in town, that's right, four in town. Yeah.
The others are
The
somebody
other
else's.
2 are independent operator,
J&L
J&L
and
and
I don't know who
Peacock,
else. Yep.
or
So the one in
whoever's
Buffalo
buying
Grove
Peacock.
is gonna
is-
look like, what is that one gonna look like?
Which
Completely
one?
different.
The other one?
The one in Buffalo Grove?
The one at
It's
16.
different colors, but it's
It'll,
similar.
the exact same store, except the colorway is different. It's,
Good
more
enough.
towards
I'll
the-
go down there and look at that one. That's
Well,
what
it's
I
not
wanted
built
to know.
yet.
Not built
It's
yet.
not yet.
Oh, I thought you said it was going to be open in 3 weeks.
No,
No, no.
no. On Monday, we're going to get our approval from the village board.
Okay.
Now, this is significantly improved over, I agree with you, over the original drawings you brought in. Appreciate all the effort and the efforts of trustee Schwartz.
Your
and him.
trustees were very helpful.
Any other comments or questions?
Not at this time. no.
All right,
I
well,
feel better now that I've seen those. Yes.
okay. So is there any of the, I guess, approvals or recommendations from
From committee.
P and Z that we need to add to? staff is absolutely comfortable with this whole site plan and building design.
Yes, sir.
Does that come from everybody? Is there any other comments from anybody on the staff? No?
It's your staff recommendation.
Staff's recommending the drafting of the ordinance to grant this approval. I would add an additional condition, condition 19, that would be that the staff and the petitioner explore the provision of the off-site signage that was requested by the mayor, to explore a possible location for that on the property, and come back at some point before you with an idea.
No, and is everybody happy with the exterior elevation they're seeing here tonight?
Yeah.
No, I know that's one per, trustee Schwartz, trustee Markwart. Is
Well,
this what you
It's
envisioned?
better than where we started.
Yeah, so is this, okay. Is there any
Say
concern
that.
about any kind of a roof facade besides what we're seeing? Is there a real
Still
facade on this?
exciting.
I can't really tell from the drawings. I mean, is that just basically what it's gonna look like? Just kind of a straight line?
Yes, sir. There will be a middle portion that will be screening of the rooftop HVAC system that's not portrayed there, but they understand what they need to do.
And, you know, since trustee Hebda isn't here, trustee Schwartz, is that what you guys, you know, wanted, this?
Well, no, we were working within what we started with, so this is much improved.
Okay, but, so this is what you liked?
Well, that's,
Huh? It's,
That-
it's okay.
we did the best we could with what we were given.
Okay. It's a one-timer, you know. You guys,
So
we'll
are you
never see you
satisfied
guys
with
again in your life, you know.
It's not exciting, you don't say, wow, when you look at it.
Yeah, well, that'll be
And
a
you'll
while.
see-
That could be a while.
You'll see me with another client,
You
not a
think
gas station.
so? So is Sloan selling?
I don't know because they're not my client.
But you got the word on the street, huh? Well, you're the
We've
one who
heard
made
they
it.
have some financial difficulties.
All right, fine. Well, thanks for sharing. All right, with that said, okay, let's just add number 19. Is that okay? And let's see, you want to see some real pictures of one of these buildings.
I'd like
Or
to before
one of
final
your
votes,
established stations that's,
right, just to see what it's
relatively
really
new.
like.
Close to similarity.
even though
Well, I
this
don't
is
even care
the
about
one
that.
of a kind,
I'd just
right?
like to see something.
Well, let me ask this question.
Sure.
Have you guys done any new stations in the Chicago metropolitan area yet?
No.
No,
Okay, so any photographs of stations that you have will be from the Omaha area?
Correct, and they are
And that's
totally
fine.
different image.
Those,
But do
That
you have
looks
any-
nothing like this.
No.
Do you have
Barb,
some of the
Barb.
same size and the same layout of the, you know, the aisles and the size of
Sure,
the
and in
building?
fact,
So that's why they don't want to show
have
it.
any that.
no,
no, they're
we,
just completely different.
wait a minute, he's
and
talking about the floor
they
plan.
wouldn't-
No, I'm talking, do you have a 6,000 square foot facility anywhere, car wash,
Yes.
store, 4,700 square feet?
Yes.
Well, can we see that?
Do you want to see
And
the
I'd like to see-
interior of it?
I'd
What do
like-
you
no,
want
I'd like to
see?
see the exterior and the layout of the islands on an acre and a half. Since that's, you know, what the gentleman from Omaha said, you build them mostly on acre and a half lots.
Well, Your Honor, can I ask?
And we're, and I do have a concern about the
Clarification?
congestion.
Can I have a clarification? Are you looking for an example site plan that they've done at another location?
He's
or
looking for a
I'll take
photograph.
both, and I'll take the size of the building and how it's set on the lot. If they're all perfectly square lots, I know it's a lot easier and this isn't.
Right?
Okay, so, but you said an awful lot of them are on an acre and a half site,
What,
or less, but this many islands in the size of the store and the size of the car wash.
can I suggest this? Could we get, you have to have a satellite photo of approximately this size site, a layout somewhere in Omaha or wherever you have another station. Just, you know, so that you can
Isn't there
see the
something you
relative
presented to
building,
another
the
board somewhere
relative,
in
You know what,
Nebraska?
if you could just
Yeah.
give me an address, I'll Google it and I'll look at
And
it
then-
that
Let's
way.
just Google them, okay.
Just give me an address, I can find it myself.
I can certainly do that. I
That
can
would be
do a whole
wonderful.
series of them.
Thank you.
just, yeah, send it to us and we'll ship it out to everybody.
But I'd certainly like to see your acre and a half kind of prototype site plan.
Your Honor, I don't understand the question, because actually we're moving, the industry's moving to larger sites rather than smaller ones. I was working with 60,000 square feet, and I've been told to go up to 80,000 square feet. We're trying to build them bigger. It's the Walmartization of the fuel. It's, the margins are squeezed, you know,
Yeah, I
to make it, you have to
understand
lower margins, a
This
higher
is a-
volume.
But this is a tight site. You got major shopping everywhere around there. You got a major state highway. I just don't want to have a real problem with cars that are at certain times of the day just, you know, stacking. But maybe you won't.
I
You know,
don't think you will.
We won't.
Are these questions that difficult? I mean, I know you went through technical review, but,
They're unusual.
well,
They're confusing.
welcome to Vernon Hills then,
Yeah.
you know? Good
We
God.
have been known to be different,
you
and
know,
that's why the town looks the way it looks.
Good God, you know,
We've
come
been
on.
sitting up here a lot of years.
All right, you got
So we
your
control the way
opinion,
our
I got
town
my
looks.
opinion. If it seems subjective to you, I'm sorry, but, you know, you want to comply, it'd make me happy, might make some board members happy, and, you know, I don't want my wife telling me it looks like it's, you know,
Mr. President,
Something
I
would-
think the question is, we just want to understand what it is you need to see. That's all.
if you don't understand, then that's your problem at
Well,
this point.
Now, I think that
I think so.
the village manager made it clear to us that you're looking for a satellite-type photograph, and we can provide locations you can find that.
And then if
I'll
there's,
take a real photograph of something even at ground level, you know, with somebody's
And then-
digital
You're not gonna
camera.
get that, I've asked for it all
Apparently
night
not, you
long.
know.
You're not gonna get
And
that.
then
We
for
have all those.
Trustee
I brought them
Williams-
into staff originally when I first came in. I had a presentation book, but that was a long time ago.
Well, thank you. You think this has been in everybody's stream of consciousness up here since you guys came around months ago?
I felt that when staff got us to this point, that we would have been beyond this element of basic understanding. Because staff
Well,
had this
you were wrong.
information.
Well,
You were wrong, Andy, I'm
Gentlemen,
sorry.
come on. I mean, you've done a lot of presentations.
We'll get
in
you
this-
what you want.
Yeah, would you?
Presentation, 'cause you have pictures on the
Yeah.
presentation. I asked about that.
Yeah.
John, do you
John,
have the
if we, I mean,
presentation?
if we could,
You have it? You said you had it on the computer?
Okay,
We can
We
project it
have
up
the
on the
ins-
screen.
Interior
we
pictures
have
from our
interior photos
There
as
is-
part of our presentation.
It's the same thing that's on your tablets. It's just, it would project on your screen in front of you.
yeah, all the sketch drawings, I mean.
No,
And, I mean,
All the
I
elevations that,
saw-
all the elevations that are in your book and in that packet right
Right.
there would be on your
But there's
screen.
also interior,
Okay.
but there were also,
what he's
in our
said.
PowerPoint, there were interior photographs, which may give the mayor, or the president, a better
They don't
idea
have
of the.
that. That's my mistake.
Okay.
I
Well,
apologize.
you know, and, you know, and if you want to ask staff to vote on this, let them.
No, we had I have no problem providing you what you're asking for. I just want to make sure I
This is like
understand what
good
you're
cop,
asking
bad
for.
cop up here.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think we both want to give you what you need to make an educated decision. I'm having trouble understanding until just now what it is that you were looking for. So I'll take that, I'll take that responsibility of not understanding what you need. But in terms of photographs, for instance, we had done a PowerPoint for P and Z that
Maybe you
that I
should
was
have
told
brought
was
this
going,
tonight.
well, I was told was going to still be on the computer.
Oh,
So I did not bring my
It
flash
absolutely
drive.
is on the computer. We could bring it up right now if you'd like to see that.
Okay.
Again, it is
Sure.
it's a mirror image of,
Well, except that it has those
Photos.
interior,
no,
here,
it's the same thing that you have in your packet.
except that I
I've
want
seen
to.
that.
We don't need that, we've already got it.
No,
We don't need it.
but to give you an idea,
There.
you asked what
Hey,
you wanted to
hey,
see
brought it up.
was
Okay.
what the store looked like, right?
bring
Just
another
write it
one
right
up.
now.
Bring a real photo up then of the outside.
It is a real photo.
Of the outside.
I don't have a photo of the outside
okay, okay.
because the image is so different than what we were building.
Okay.
So we will get you a photo of the outside, not a problem. But this gives you an idea of the composition of the inside of the store,
Go back one
which
more.
I thought was one of the things you were just asking for.
Looks very nice inside.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, if you got to retain Pixar to help you with this outside work, give them a call.
Okay.
So do you want a photograph, just to be clear,
Of an old store.
an aerial view, or you want some similar locations on an aerial view so that you can see the relationship of all the elements. And then you want some photographs at ground level of a similarly configured station, even though it will not look like this.
Yeah.
Won't even be the same canopy because they brand BP in Omaha, they don't brand mobile.
Right.
Just so you understand.
And you got some buildings with roof detail too, right?
No,
Not
they
one
all
of
have
those
flat
things.
roofs.
Okay. Okay.
What you'll see is you'll see a building that's primarily drive-it.
The Omaha stores look like the BP stores you see here in town, because they're all BP. They're the same color, that gray, and with the little
tower.
football tower on the side.
In the green and
So
white
they're
buildings?
engineering.
Yes.
Okay.
They actually prototyped the BP Connect buildings. So they're very similar, they're slightly different colors. So that's what the building will look like.
Okay.
You remember we started with the big silo look? and
I
we
don't.
Moved to
I don't
this.
believe the
Big silo.
president was here when we presented
Oh,
his
okay.
committee. of the
Sure
whole.
did, huh?
That was their original
Yeah, I was here,
presentation.
because that's how I remember about him being from Omaha.
I was not.
But yeah, I do remember the silo, that's right.
So this is much improved, but it's still.
So, Your Honor, what would you like to do with this tonight?
I don't have a problem, approving it, but before we bring it back to board, I think some of us would like to see what's been requested tonight.
And that is
Board meeting isn't for two
an
weeks.
aerial showing an acre and a half site and how that lays out. You want to see photos of that same type of setup at ground level, showing the station and the pumps and everything like that, even though it's not architecturally consistent with what's shown here tonight.
Right, and then preferably the acre and a half site.
We can do that.
Okay.
We'll
Absolutely.
do that.
Is there anything else that you'd like us to provide?
Other than the sidebar with the sign. Number 19.
Yeah, number.
What you need is a motion to recommend staff be directed to prepare necessary ordinance granting approval of special use permit, allowing the service station, mini mart, and auto laundry with the certain setback variations, approvals of preliminary and final site plan, landscaping plans, building elevations, and signage plan, subject to compliance with the conditions above, including number 19.
Yes.
And
And
is that
pictures.
the committee's recommendations?
Yes.
Yeah,
All
you're just
Anything
adding
recommended by
19.
the,
Just adding the
We're just
19?
adding the
Okay,
19.
sounds good.
The pictures.
so that's my motion.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second
Comments or questions? Roll call.
Trustee Schwartz?
Aye.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda? Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Okay, motion carries. We'll see you, I guess, when we
2
see
weeks.
you.
You'll be hearing from me tomorrow with the,
You will.
I'll send you the materials tomorrow
You send it to
Thank
me
you.
personally?
No. Through your staff.
Okay.
No, I want to, no, I'm just kidding.
So did you go to Nebraska?
My folks moved there and then I followed them and I went to Nebraska for undergraduate school, went in the military and then came back, finished up some graduate school there.
Okay. In Lincoln?
In Lincoln, yes, sir.
Yeah, I got a son who graduated from there, so. Might
That's
call you,
right, I
I might
forgot
call
about
you for
that.
tickets for a game.
When
Okay.
I was a student, I sold them.
All right, thank
Thank
you.
you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Okay,
Hobby Lobby.
all right, Hobby Lobby. You sure you want to come up here? John, you need a drink of water? Sir? You
No,
need a
he
drink
needs
of water or
something
something?
stronger.
I can read your face. You're not a happy camper right now.
I'm good, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. All right, you got the floor.
I'll give you, I'll brief the board quickly. This is a request from Hobby Lobby. What they're requesting is review and approval of facade renovations to the front of the store and also site revisions related to the rear of the store. The new Hobby Lobby would be located in the space formerly occupied by Dominex. The site changes would include a loading dock at the rear north side of the building. The size would be 21 feet wide at its widest point. It's narrower in other locations, and it would be about 96 feet long. A 30-foot setback would be maintained between the rear dock addition and the property line. There would also be a compactor that would be located east of the loading dock, and that compactor would be screened with matching brick screen wall. On the front of the building, the south facade, that would include raising the center portion of the entrance of the canopy to a height of 34 feet. The exterior surface would be treated with an ephes material with the color and texture matching the existing center. There'd also be a there'd be a cornice detail that would be installed at the top of the canopy and the parapet wall as well. Also of note is the existing solarium, which is to the east side of the main entrance. That would be removed. I should also note that the sign that's shown on the front elevation is scheduled for a public hearing before the zoning board on September 20th. So the board has not requested to consider the sign for tonight's meeting. That'll be brought back to you at a later date with a recommendation from the zoning board. A copy of the color drawings showing the existing and proposed elevations along with the proposed site plan are attached to your packet. And for tonight's meeting, if the committee feels that the site revisions and facade renovations are appropriate, then staff should be directed to prepare an ordinance approving those subject to the conditions outlined in your packet. And the petitioners are here to answer any questions that you may have.
Board have any questions? Trustee Cook.
I'm having trouble following exactly where the entrance to the building is with the glass in that. I'm not.
My name is Owen Meyer
Yeah.
with PB2 Architects and Engineers. The entrances will remain identical as they are now. You have one entrance to the left and one to the far right.
Well, but you're doing away with the.
The one entrance where the greenhouse solarium structure is will be removed.
So you only have one entrance in?
No, we will have two. You enter from this side of the canopy, the vestibule area, and there's also an entrance.
Oh, okay, because the other entrance to the Dominic's was where the,
Yeah.
Okay, I
where the
wasn't aware
glass
of
is.
that.
That is the other, the one you're eliminating is the other current entrance to the building. That's why I was
Okay.
confused.
I
So what
apologize.
you're putting in is an entrance at either end of the glass we see here then?
Yes,
In the center.
The red,
yes.
or the
Yeah,
blue.
the entrance will remain there, just the solarium part is
Gotcha.
removed.
Gotcha, okay. Because that doesn't match what's on the drawing there. That's why I was,
Okay.
because the actual entrance was,
To the far
as,
right.
was part of the solarium, so you're moving the entrance then.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, okay, all right.
That's how you.
And the other thing is that it just, I don't know, I just feel like it needs a little more in the way of some kind of architectural
And
relief.
I'm going to jump in because I think that's exactly where I was looking at.
Yeah, it's such a bland wall.
I'm looking at it, if possible, you leave the windows up on the top and then create windows on the other side to even if you want, just to break them. But you're,
A lot of wall with nothing in it.
Yeah,
well,
it's a lot of wall with no architectural relief whatsoever.
I'm sorry, are you talking about these
Mhm.
existing windows?
you can put false windows.
The,
Take that and pull it out.
of course,
It's just to break it up because
Sure.
what you're looking at is the center of the building
It's nice.
is fine. The east and west end of it is a lot of brick, especially to the east portion of it. Break it up and put windows to the top portion, if so desired, or some sort of design to the building to make it stand out just a little bit, because it's just a plain brick wall.
We see this as an improvement to the existing, however.
Well, I guarantee I
understand.
like everything that's on there. I'm just saying where you
Yes.
take a look from either side to the east side of the building where the glass was, it's a brick wall. You have a door, but it's just a brick wall, and then brick wall on the other side, so.
Yeah, I'm just talking about something to
Just-
break up
Just to
the,
break a design, or
I
just
mean,
a
even
look.
as trustee Markwart talked about, we have a couple of buildings in town where they have faux windows just to, they're not an actual window, it just appears like to give it some kind of architectural relief.
That's-
Or even just shaded panels or something that kind of breaks up that massing.
Because then you break it down, then you take out the other side. I'm looking
We
at
do have some of our limitations, and as you understand the site, is half of the building horizontally is cut from a canopy that overhangs that side, so it may be a bit deceiving. So understand, excuse me, so when you do talk, I apologize. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So when you speak about articulation, we still have this canopy, again, that extends over. So the odds of being able to be continuous or fairly dramatic with a single element is constrained. It's not that it cannot be done, but I do want to make you aware of
Well,
of
so
that
you're
condition.
retaining the canopy,
All the way across the front of the building.
oh, okay, that, I can't tell that
Yeah,
from
I
this
can't
drawing.
tell from
That-
there.
And it's.
It looks to me like the canopy's gone on left and
Sure.
right.
I mean, can staff tell there's a canopy there from these drawings?
If it is, it's
I
the same
see a
color as the
line, I
wall
see
and
a
it's
line,
gone.
that's,
So it's where the Hobby Lobby's name is, that's a canopy right there.
Yeah, this is the way it looks currently with the Dominex elevation. So the lines are just straight across.
Right.
What you're seeing here is the solarium that'll ultimately be removed. And then this portion here, you could actually walk under a canopy. So what they're doing is they're adding this portion, they're raising the facade up, they're adding this corner detail, and then this color.
No,
and
I
these-
got that, I'm talking left and right of that.
left and right.
See, you're saying there's a canopy,
The lower portion here.
Yeah.
That you can see.
yeah,
Continuous across the entire.
right, that's what
store,
I'm saying.
Overhangs approximately 15 to 16.
And you're doing that?
That will remain.
It looks like all
Is
right
that,
there
is
on
that
both
gonna be the
sides.
same color as what's there? I mean, because I'm not seeing it. I know, but it's an
can't
art,
see it.
maybe it's just that this is a flat drawing,
just
I'm not
us
seeing
looking
it.
at
I understand, and I apologize. That's erring on the side that you may be familiar with the building, and I completely understand
Yeah.
from a graphical standpoint.
No, see, that's what I thought you were changing that and taking that out, you're not.
No, it's
That'll give it
pretty
architectural relief,
substantial.
because that
existing
comes out.
condition. Correct.
Yeah, and what trustee Cook, this portion up here
Can see-
is
Gotcha.
closer to Town Line Road than underneath here, so that's what gives it some architectural relief, yeah.
And that's all we were looking at now, and when you look at it from here.
Absolutely.
And on this,
Yeah,
Looks
it
like
looks
a
flat,
brick
and it looks
building.
like you took all that out,
I
that's what,
understand.
yeah,
We're not going to take
okay,
that portion off.
then that takes care of it.
And the main entrance will be between the windows, is that what it is?
the black lines on
It will be either side of the
Oh,
building.
there.
Okay.
Here again, there,
So where you would think it would be, it's not gonna be there, where it's a brick wall,
sure.
Yeah,
right?
Behind this portion here, and behind this portion here, behind this glass, there are two existing entrances on either side. And again, that was the confusion earlier, is I knew there was another entrance, but there
Yeah,
are two.
the problem is we're not getting that dimension coming this
Yes.
way out of that drawing.
I can certainly see that, and I apologize.
Yeah, the doors actually face east and west, so you're not, it's not showing up
Yes,
on that elevation.
yes, they're this way,
That is a farm.
'cause it
Okay.
just comes out.
Yeah,
Isn't it
all
supposed
right.
to be red?
And then the left, as I look at your drawing there, that has the name, the left, is that a window area with the green band on it on the drawing? What is
The
that?
next door next.
This is an
next door.
adjacent tenant,
Oh, okay, all right,
that portion.
okay.
That door has been added to satisfy egress out of the building for safety
They told me it was
concerns.
for the firemen. Can we make it red? No, just kidding.
Shitty.
All right, so you're not, in your opinion, is it just as much glass as it is now, or not as much?
It is a reduction.
What is it?
It is a reduction
Yeah.
in glass
Well, to
area.
clarify, it's a reduction because the solarium is being eliminated. But otherwise, the glass remains as it is today.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, are there any other comments or questions from the board? So, okay, so it's, there actually is an overhang even at the roof line.
Yeah.
In other words, all the way across, where you see all brick. There's,
Gotcha.
is there any kind of overhang there?
Here.
You can see
That's
that little
under the
line.
sign, not above.
That's all.
If you,
And that's out 15
That comes
feet?
out, yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an overhang. I don't know the
Yeah.
dimensions,
Okay.
but there is an overhang.
And
at
then
the
there's
top.
the overhang for the main kind of focus of the building where the sign is. So
That's-
that everything comes out at, what, about how high is it? 15 feet off the ground?
12.
12, and then
12
it
feet.
comes out 15 feet?
Approximately 15 feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
It may be slightly under that. It's close.
So people be protected from the elements.
From the elements, absolutely.
The sign, they'll bring that back later?
The sign is scheduled, would require a variation. That's scheduled for a public hearing before the zoning board on September 20th, and then it'll be before the board sometime after that for final consideration. So for tonight's meeting, the board is not being requested to approve the sign, just the facade renovation and the site revisions in the back.
So, and
That's it?
I'll ask Stan.
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
sign is shown just so you can see what it would look like if the variation were to
Yeah,
get
so
approved.
now that I understand what you're talking about with the canopy being there, because that's really is impossible to see here. So you're keeping two of the current existing three entrances. The only one going was the one where you're removing the glass. The other two are still gonna come in from the sides.
That is correct.
Because that bumps out even though it's hard to see here.
That is correct.
And so, and essentially, the brick, the solid brick walls on either side of the Hobby Lobby sign, there's gonna be no architectural relief. It's just gonna be a flat wall with the overhang.
Correct. Similar to the existing condition.
What's that?
Similar to as it is today, yes.
Yeah.
It
The
will be
relief
very
is
similar.
Yeah, there's relief.
Yeah, the relief is well, it'll look, in real life, it'll look like there'll be dimension to it.
Yeah, okay, fine. All right, are there any other comments or questions from the board? Staff have anything else they had?
No, just that if it's the board's desire that a motion directing staff to prepare an ordinance approving the facade renovations and site revisions is suggested.
Yeah, and you were correct earlier when you were talking, there are currently three, you're just cutting it to two.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
That is correct.
there was a motion second.
Yeah, okay, motion is second. Any comments or questions? If not, roll call.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda? Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz? Trustee Schwartz?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
So when are we gonna bring them back?
That'll be at the meeting of September 18th.
Okay, good.
Thank
Do you have
for your
a
time.
time frame on your,
For
I mean,
construction?
projected time frame? Yeah.
As soon as, I do not have exact dates. I do know that if a permit is secured and approval, they anticipate construction very shortly afterwards. The full construction period, we do not know yet.
Okay.
Do not have those dates.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Welcome to town.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right. And you're closed on Sundays, right?
Yep.
Excuse me?
Closed on Sunday?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, number 4, consideration of recommendation from the zoning board of appeals for sign variation at Hawthorne Village Commons, 220-229 Town Line Road.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The variations are requested for two reasons. One, in connection with the Hobby Lobby that'll be moving into the center, and also to provide tenant panels for existing stores that are located within the center. There would be two multi-tenant signs. One would be located on Town Line Road, and the other one would be located adjacent to the access drive off of Lakeview Parkway. The sign code would limit each sign to only one tenant being displayed. It would limit the height to 8 feet and also would limit the size to 50 square feet. The variations are different for each sign. The sign on Town Line Road is a little bit bigger. For the Town Line Road sign, they're requesting that a height of 15 feet be allowed. And further, they're asking for a variation to allow the size to be 98 square feet. And finally, they're requesting the display of 9 tenant panels. For the sign on Lakeview Parkway, the smaller sign, they're requesting a height variation to allow a 10-foot tall sign, a size variation to allow the sign to be 64 square feet, and finally, a variation to allow 7 tenant panels to be displayed. The zoning board reviewed this matter at a public hearing on August 16th, and at that hearing, the petitioner testified that the property cannot yield a reasonable use in return if the variation is not granted because of difficulty in leasing large retail box spaces without a sign presence along the major roadways. Further, the plight of the owner is due to unique circumstances because of mature landscaping along Town Line Road that reduces visibility, and also because of the shape of the building, which has a V shape in the center portion of the building, and those tenants in particular have a lot of difficulty with visibility. And finally, the petitioner stated and represented that the variation, if granted, would not alter the essential character of the neighborhood because the new signs would be consistent with other multi-tenant signs within the area. At the hearing, there was no one present to speak in objection to the request. And the Zoning Board of Appeals, on a vote of 5 in favor and none opposed, recommends to the Village Board that the variations, as I just described, be approved. So for tonight's meeting, if the board concurs with the Zoning Board's findings, then a motion directing staff to prepare an ordinance approving the variations subject to the recommendations by the Zoning Board of Appeals, subject to the conditions outlined in your packet, and subject to the drawings which are also attached to your packet as suggested, and the petitioner is here to answer any questions that you might have.
I'm thoroughly amazed that the commission approved the one on Lakeview. I like the idea of the one on Hawthorne Parkway, on Route 60. I understand you need the one on Route 60, and it's in keeping with what we've done elsewhere in town, but I absolutely have, I know what that corner is like, and it's gonna, that sign on Lakeview is gonna be right across from the burrito store, correct? Right, directly across the street from it?
Yeah.
And on that little tiny edge of the parking lot between Lakeview and the way to get to the Wendy's. And there isn't a lot of land there, and it doesn't have the world's best visibility now at that intersection. And adding a sign at that corner, I'm fine with the one on 60, but the one on Lakeview, I respectfully disagree with our commission, and I don't do that very often. I just see that as being both a hazard and unnecessary.
Where Wendy's is?
Yeah, well,
Could they,
right where you're gonna be coming out,
Yeah,
right there, and then we're not gonna see the turn.
Does
Wendy's?
staff have any comments on that?
Remember we talked about signs?
Well,
Wendy's is right here. They don't have
just for informational purposes,
They could put a sign right in here.
the variation is to allow a 10-foot tall sign. This site can have 2 signs because it has 2 frontages.
Wendy's, right?
The variation is to allow the sign to be 2 feet taller and 14 square feet bigger. So it's bigger, it's a little taller and a little bigger than the sign code would otherwise allow, but would otherwise comply with the sign code. It would be set back 10 feet as well, so it would comply with that requirement. The other variation, of course, is to allow 7 tenant panels to be displayed, but the overall size, and when you think about congestion in that area and everything, they could reduce the size of the sign in compliance with the sign code and still have 7 panels on there, but it still may be a concern for the board.
There's no signage there at all, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay.
On the way to me, I drove through.
I'm sorry, just to clarify.
Yeah.
There's a identification sign on Lakeview that this sign would replace.
But how tall is that one again? 'Cause I drove through.
It's a low sign, I don't know the exact
that's the
dimension.
thing.
Yeah.
As I drove through there, I was trying to envision coming in or out of that parking lot and looking at a sign that's 10 feet tall, that it really blocks your view south you know, of that road. I was trying to envision that as I was driving in there, and I just didn't see that as fitting the characteristic of that particular corner.
What's the height of it?
This one, this is the 10-foot tall one.
Is it 10?
Does
I mean,
the
it just seemed too
petitioner
tall.
want to speak to any of this?
Excuse me, yes, I'm Pam Daniels. I'm from Inland Commercial Property Management. And I checked this area too, and it is a 10-foot sign, and there's a large landscape area that it would fit in. And the tenants, even the tenants at the very corner, such as the burrito tenant, they're all they just want that extra signage so that they could put up their branding, put up their panels, and the pedal peddlers and Cookies by Design, they all are just begging for that extra signage.
But I agree with you, and the bulk of your traffic comes off Route 60, not Lakeview. They will see the sign on 60, then turn on Lakeview and know where to go. The problem I have with this is you're talking about 800 square feet of sign. That's a lot. I mean, when you're trying to see cars looking south from that intersection, that's going to block you. The current sign, you can look over if I'm basically. And
yeah,
the
I
problem
think-
is, the only way you're going to be able to look over this one is, well, even in a semi, you probably wouldn't be able to see over it. So, I mean, it just, I tried to visualize it today, and I really couldn't, and it just seems in my mind. Now, if you can maybe go out there and put up an 800 square foot piece of plywood so I can see how it blocks the intersection, that I'm a better visual learner. But that's the problem I have with it, is that now when you're pulling out, you see traffic coming up and everything like that, and yes, I know there's a traffic light there, but defensive driving tells you make sure the car coming is stopping before you go, and if you can't see somebody coming, that's why as I was driving through the day, it just appeared to me that it would be that kind of a problem. Now, like I say, if you can put up some kind of a mock-up that I can see, you know, I mean, even if it's just paper that's, you know, some kind of cheap canvas that you stick up, so I get an idea of how big it is and how much it's going to block, or maybe our traffic people, maybe our engineers, somebody could look at it.
When you took a left then from the center over on Lakeview, then you could see the current sign. Were you able to see that sign at all? Because I've never noticed that sign. So
I know. Yeah, yes.
You know,
You didn't notice that sign.
It's
'cause
not
it's only this tall.
But
You would notice
I
this
meant
one.
from its proximity to the road, because I think that's what you're afraid of, that would be blocking someone from making the turn.
Well, this is only a couple feet off the right-of-way, right?
Can somebody,
Excuse me,
you know,
it's-
pinpoint it better than the drawings we have?
Sure, it's,
What do you want to know?
it's
I mean, just something that.
It's only several feet from the roadway.
It's 10 feet from the property line. I'm not sure what the depth of the parkway is at that particular location, but so the setback would be more than 10 feet.
Yeah, so you're probably 10 or 12 feet at most off the roadway, which is one car.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the dimension is between the sidewalk and the curb,
It's
but,
maybe a car length and a half at the most off the roadway, I would imagine.
all right, so we call that 8 feet, the depth of a parking stall, so it's probably about 18 feet from the curb line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom, if I could help a little bit
Yeah.
too, please, on the agenda, a couple of items down, we're talking about the widening of this area, so we need to keep that into account in terms of your
Yeah,
concern.
I mean, that's the other thing. We're looking at trying to improve this particular roadway, and we don't have a lot of area there.
Oh, how I got back there again.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm
Here's the
just,
existing sign, that's where it'll replace
but that's, what, 6 feet wide by about?
In short, but just to give you an idea of
Yeah.
location.
See, and as I'm looking at this aerial shot, it's exactly what I'm talking about. You said you didn't notice the sign. The reason
Well,
you
I
didn't
meant,
notice the sign is because it's
to look
little.
to look over it. I'm more concerned about if it was blocking the other cars and you're taking a left.
Oh, that's just you?
No,
So we don't have this.
I understand what I'm saying, but
We don't
the reason you
Well,
didn't
you do
notice the
now.
current sign is because
Yeah,
it's a
okay.
very small sign. Nowhere's near what this is.
Right, so the sign is here somewhere.
Could we do this, Dave and
Oh,
Mike?
is this-
Just a suggestion,
They're gonna
could we
put in-
take this drawing and take a look at what the setbacks are, and then do a sight line look, like Trustee Cook's talking about, and then you can do the thing with the car and the SUV and get an idea,
Yeah,
the
if we could do that, it would
approximation where
help.
the sign is and where the stop bar is and all that.
Well, we kind of did that with the monument sign going into Greg's Landing.
Yeah, we could certainly do that. We could
You know what I
request the
mean?
petitioner to provide a sightline
Yeah.
drawing.
Does that go to the engineering department? Where you put the little people there?
We'll tag team, and actually, our
Yeah, you can
GIS
Photoshop,
specialist,
it's fine
our
with me.
GIS specialist has the technology that he can add a sign and you can do a drive
Yeah,
by it.
right.
So I know where you're headed.
Yeah.
But we could get the sightline drawing put together for you. If I may, if it's the board's wish, with Hobby Lobby coming into town, if it's the board's wish, you could act on the sign on Town Line Road only, while we go back to the drawing board and provide the information you've requested, sightline drawings and such, and then we'll bring that second sign back to you at a future meeting for consideration, if that's the wish of the board.
And does the petitioner feel comfortable with that?
Yes, yes, I do.
Okay.
'Cause that would help greatly.
Okay.
Can we
So it'd
make the
be
one on
separate
60,
motions.
10
The
feet?
first one would be approving the first one would be directing staff to prepare an ordinance, approving the variations for the sign adjacent to Town Line Road.
Just pass it down. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And the second motion would be to continue consideration of the sign along Lakeview Parkway to a future meeting, at which time sightline drawings can be presented to the board.
Can we make the one
And
on
I'm sorry,
60,
but
10
when I said
feet?
800, I meant 80 square feet. It's still, I didn't
Or-
mean 800 square feet was, I was.
Yeah, I kind of thought you.
No, 80 square feet is what I meant.
But what you're saying is this one's
Sorry.
98?
The one on Lakeview Parkway that is of concern tonight is 64 square feet. That's the smaller one. The one on Town Line Road, the larger one, is 98 square feet,
And what's ordinance?
50.
No, you said the one
You
on
want to go
Lakeview would be
48
what?
feet over?
It's
The one on Lakeview Parkway is
8 by 10, 80 square, right?
is 64.
8 by 8.
I'm
I
lost.
thought you said it was, oh, it's 8 by 8. Okay, yeah.
The one on 60 is what?
98 square feet.
98 square feet, and the ordinance is 50.
That's correct. Yes, ma'am.
Why would I want to do that?
Why wouldn't?
Yeah,
Why wouldn't you want to do
why
that?
would I want to do
Why
that?
would she want to do it?
Oh,
Can we lower that sign to 10 feet?
well, if I,
Sure we can.
it's it's whatever the wish of the board is tonight, but by comparison, the sign at Hawthorne Square is 25 feet tall. The sign at River Tree is 25 feet.
And they're
tall.
much larger developments than
Yeah.
Hawthorne Commons.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the advice I was trying to give to the petitioner was to size the height and size variation consistent with what other variations in the past have been approved. So this one isn't as tall and it's not as big as those signs because the center's not as big. So that's the request that went before the zoning board in the public hearing, but ultimately, it's whatever your decision is, so.
The Hobby Lobby sign, there, it's a large sign, and if it goes through, then if, their sign is 8 feet by,
You're talking about the one on the building?
pardon me?
You're talking about the sign on their building?
No, the sign on the pylon. If the pylon is approved,
I'm sorry.
their particular sign will take up most of the sign if it's shortened.
And they really don't need it because the sign on their building is huge.
But if the,
And you don't need a sign on the street to tell me that's Holly Lobby, because I'll see that before I do your sign.
but they're very particular about having signage
So
on the
am I.
pylon.
I'm very particular about signs.
Okay.
Always have been.
You know, just to, take a look at the setback there. What is it from 60 to, I guess the front wall to Hobby Lobby?
Well,
Couple hundred feet?
yeah, the Hobby Lobby's set back approximately somewhere between 250 and 300 feet from the right-of-way.
Yeah, okay.
And the sign is set back 10 feet from the property line, so just to give you an idea.
And really,
Yeah, okay.
the
Tell me right by
pylons,
the Buc-ee's.
Well, it kind of, it does benefit the obviously the smaller users.
If you're gonna be able to read those, if Hobby Lobby's taking up
Well,
most of it.
Well,
Exactly.
You know, while you're going through the exercise, could we see the sight lines on that one too? If you could, I mean, if it wouldn't be too much.
It's, this one is located not where the existing one is on Town Line Road.
Okay.
But it's moved farther east, so
This
it's
one's-
not near an intersection.
Right, it's
Okay,
right by the
that's what I
property
thought.
line of Bucky's and where Bucky's wants to go in this place.
Yeah, it's closer to
Yeah,
Buckley's.
that's what I
correct.
thought, so that one's no problem, yes.
Well, maybe to
now
you.
now the question is the
Not me to
size.
determine.
Okay.
I know.
Yeah, I understand.
No, the location is fine.
All right, well, I mean, is there a compromise here between 50 and 100 or 98?
Yes, I'd.
No,
really-
yeah, okay, you can answer it, that's fine. I mean, you know, but I mean, with the board, I mean, is everybody, you know, lack that, the 98 square feet?
Not me.
Well, I'm just asking the rest of the board, so. No? All right, well, okay, let me put it this way, is there a motion then to approve this sign as is? Based on on Town Line Road with the recommendation from P and Z, which was what, 5-0?
From the ZBA, which is 5-0.
Oh, ZBA, okay. That's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second, comments or questions? He,
Who
Cook
made-
did. Well, I made the motion. I'm allowed to do that, right?
Not really.
Corporation Counsel?
You shouldn't make a motion. You can second, but you shouldn't motion.
Yes,
I can make a
Yeah,
motion.
we can.
we're committee.
Let you
Yeah, we're
Robert's
committee.
rules. It doesn't matter. He's the chairman of the committee.
Well, it's committee of the whole.
I will look at that, but at the
Okay.
committee level, I think everybody can
All
participate.
right, well, is there somebody who wants to
Regardless.
make the motion? Then
Doesn't
I'll
matter.
withdraw.
Doesn't matter. But
I'll
I think you're
withdraw
wrong.
my motion and,
Okay, then I'll make the motion.
okay.
To approve it as is?
So it's a motion directing staff to prepare an ordinance
Correct.
approving the sign along Town Line Road.
Just
Yes.
to sign a long time.
Yes.
You got 98 square feet and how high?
98 square feet in size, 15
15
feet
feet.
tall, and 9 tendon panels.
Yeah, and the 15 feet includes the base.
That's
The
correct.
sign itself is 12.
That's the total,
12 and change.
total height,
Right.
yeah.
Base is two.
Is there a second?
So I'll second it.
There's no second.
Second it.
There's a second. Any further comments or questions? If not, roll call.
Trustee Hebda? Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz? Trustee Schwartz?
No.
Trustee Williams?
No.
You said no.
So it's a tie, right?
I'm just not comfortable yet with the size. We didn't discuss that enough, so yeah.
What's, you mean the size of this one?
Right.
Well, okay, well, I can vote on this, I assume, right?
Mm-hmm.
President
Yeah.
Byrne?
Well, okay, I asked for comments or questions. Can I take them now? I don't see why not. Sure. Okay, what's your comment or question, trustee Schwartz?
Well, I don't think we've discussed enough the possibility of not having it be that big or comparing it to some of the other signage at the other shopping centers in comparison to how big this shopping center is to this size sign.
Well, in a way, other than the Hobby Lobby thing, which I agree with trustee Williams, you can, if you miss,
The building, yeah.
you're going to see the Hobby Lobby before you see this sign.
Right.
But the other tenants is truly a problem. In the V part, the back-end V part of the,
It's always been a problem.
yeah, I know.
They've never done
And
anything
so,
about it.
so if this included a few more of those tenants and could bring them out,
I agree.
I have no problem with it. I don't think it has really anything to do with Hobby Lobby. Anybody that missed Hobby Lobby would miss this sign first, okay? I mean, it's,
It'd be blind, drive you blind.
yeah,
in
I mean, that's
Texas.
like spotting the cat over in the corner, but you missed the 800-pound gorilla, you know?
This is like a destination.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna see the big bill, but you are 100% correct on the smaller tenants back in the courtyard area.
That was my intention, to try to get extra panels for them.
Yeah, I don't think you got enough panels.
Well,
I think
that's
you're
why I
gonna get
wanted the
enough
Lakeview Parkway sign to have panels and to
Different
be the
names on it?
size. Pardon me?
Different names on that one?
No.
Yes,
Oh, really?
yes. I was trying to get as many tenants in the center on those panels.
Oh, okay.
Well, then maybe the one on Lake, you could lose Hobby Lobby off the top, and that might shorten that sign up to where we could deal with it.
Accommodate, yeah.
Well, I don't know, the only thing on there is Holly Lobby, Dollar Tree, and Empire Beauty. I don't see the burrito place or anybody else on
Well, I just put those on there
No, that's
just as a sample.
Pearl cookie
Yeah.
joint. Okay. Well, we got a motion and a second. And it's 2-2, so I'll vote aye. To approve the sign on 60. Motion carries. So I get, we're gonna bring back with, I guess some, the request of the board. We want pictures and we want some mock-up of,
Yeah, the
is it-
sightline drawings that they've done for other stuff will work.
Yeah, we'll
just
get the
fine. Yeah.
sightline drawings, we'll review them at
Yeah,
staff
exactly.
level,
Talking about Dave
I'll
and that
share them
one.
with Dave, and then when we think it works, we'll bring it back for you for consideration.
Yeah, we've used those
is
before.
that
and that works very
quasi-clear
well.
to you?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Next item is, request for outdoor dining and seating establishment permit for Silverberg Deli at 701 North Milwaukee Avenue. And your name for the record, please?
Phil Silverberg.
Okay.
You'll see the drawings attached to your packet, hopefully you'll see them in there, but just briefly, there's also an aerial map showing the location of the new deli, which is between, I believe, TJ Maxx and Nirvana, generally in that area in River Tree. The proposed dining area would be located on the sidewalk in front of the restaurant. There would be 18 tables with a seating capacity of 36 customers. There'd be a 10-foot wide pedestrian walkway between the dining area and the wall of the building. And there would also be a 4-foot wide walkway between the edge of the dining area and the curb line. That layout is shown on the drawing attached to your packet, along with the application. And for tonight's meeting, if the board feels that the request is appropriate, staff should be directed to prepare a resolution approving the request subject to the conditions that are outlined in your packet. And Mr. Silverberg is here to answer any questions that you may have.
I like your chairs. See that picture? I like that.
Can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't see a problem with this request.
Are you open?
Excuse
You're
me?
not open yet, are you?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Trustee Cook?
This is then in keeping pretty much with
Rest-
the outdoor
yeah.
seating that Nirvana already has in terms of the way it allows pedestrian, correct?
Excuse me, that's correct.
Bring basil.
Except there wouldn't be planters and things like that.
Right.
Now she changed her menu.
The planters for Nirvana were intended to separate the public from people consuming alcohol in connection with
Right,
that store.
which is not,
Which is not the case with Silverberg Deli.
yeah.
Now she started-
But in addition to the 4 feet, this is showing sort of a 3-foot slope there too as well before you get to the traffic curb line, or?
Yeah, that's like the pressed area, the curb or whatever, and that's additional width in
So
addition.
you're really actually 7 or 8 feet from a traffic light?
That's correct.
Nice, nice.
Well,
Thank you.
similar to- yeah,
Any other comments or questions?
similar
Is
to
there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second?
Motion is second. Roll call.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz? Trustee Schwartz?
Aye.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda?
Motion carries.
Thank you.
When do you
Welcome.
figure to be?
End of October.
End of
End of
October.
October, yes.
Good.
Good.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right.
Welcome
Thank you.
aboard.
Good luck.
Okay. All right, next is what, Dave Brown?
Thank you very much. In your board packet is the civil engineering contract for Lakeview Parkway and Hawthorne Parkway improvements. As part of the village budget process, we discussed the need for the Lakeview project north of 60 and at Hawthorne to include that in the project to the south. There was money budgeted. It was $250,000. after refinement and investigations with IDOT on some of their new policies and some other details, environmental studies, et cetera, Civil Tech has given us a proposal. The dollar amount is $319,616. That's, over their original proposal, that's $68,362 more. I quizzed them on why the increase, and I've included that in the board packet. Essentially, there's new traffic counts that will be required. The original 2007 traffic counts will not be accepted by IDOT because situations have changed since then with the downturn in the economy, et cetera. They'll have to do a new intersection design study, which needs to account for 2040 projections where the previous ones were 2030. Additionally, IDOT is requiring a preliminary environmental site assessment, so we need to accomplish that. And then there's drainage plans that IDOT will require. So my recommendation is that we do move forward with a contract with Civil Tech to perform this work. It will allow us to properly align the roadways on both the north side of 60 and the south side of 60 at Lakeview. And should the village board recommend moving forward as staff is recommending, I would prepare a resolution, bring it back to the village board for approval. I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
Pretty thorough. I don't see anything.
We're anticipating a bid letting of 2014, so it could be under construction late 2014, potentially 2015, so that's our target.
2015 target for completion?
For
Or start
construction
already?
and
Start.
completion. So both.
So what do you think, at the bottom line between, I guess, these soft costs and the actual construction? I mean, is it gonna be in the $8 million range? Or is that $8 million just for the construction through, sure, yeah, that's what it is. All right, so this is really gonna cost what? Over 10 million, right?
It will be a $10 million project that includes phase 1, phase 2, and construction.
Yeah.
The actual construction cost is closer to 8.2 million. Got to relocate utilities, water mains. Really, some of the key improvements for it is the Lakeview stretch from 60 going towards the police station, adding capacity. It gets bottlenecked with more lanes. You can move more traffic through. Additionally, if you go from the post office on Fairway going north to 60, right now there is not a designated right turn lane, and that would certainly help people who are going northbound on Fairway desiring to turn 60. They can't turn right because it's a combined through and right, so that'll certainly help.
How many intersections are we gonna blow up here, because we're adding lanes and such?
3, 4,
Six?
5.
Five?
5, yeah.
Now, that doesn't include Hawthorne Parkway and Lakeview?
The northerly project would include that, and it would include heading towards center.
And then 60, do we have, yeah, and then we gotta do work, it's obviously 60 in Lakeview.
Absolutely.
Then we gotta do Phillips in Lakeview,
Phillip and Lakeview.
and then Fairway and,
Fairway and Lakeview.
Yeah.
Go north on Fairway from there to 60.
so is that 6?
Might be 6. I was at 5, but it might be 6. So.
Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay.
Okay.
That's a lot of work. Yeah, okay. What's the chances of us getting, we got secured funding of what, 5.2 million?
Currently, it's slated, the Southerly project has already made it through the Council of Mayors program. It's slated and the funding is there for 2014.
Yeah.
The additive was, there's been this B-list project that's on the north side of 60. back when OPA was, at the OPA site, talking about high-rise, et cetera, we started discussing the needs for widening on the north side, improving Hawthorne, et cetera. So that's the additive part that we're adding.
How
to
about
the-
any, potential for what would be Fairway and Lakeview? Where high school's on, is that considered Lakeview to high school?
So you're talking about the
Wait.
southerly fairway and
Yeah,
Lakeview?
is there any concern for that whole intersection there?
Um,
I know that's,
Currently, we've done a couple of traffic studies seeing whether or not there's a signal warrant or not. It doesn't meet warrants. The high school is working with students to, when they leave the high school, to only allow right turns on Lakeview during peak school leaving time. So that's reduced some of the congestion
And of
at
course,
that
you got
intersection.
Well, and the changing of the 3 lanes on the, changing the westbound Lakeview to 3 lanes there helped a lot.
Very good.
When that was widened out and added the right and left turn, that helped
Yeah.
a lot.
We made that improvement last
Okay.
season, yes, Trustee Cook?
that was just good. Well, the only thing, you don't really have a right turn lane though on Lakeview to go north on Fairway.
Yes.
Well, no.
We do now at that location.
Yeah.
Separate.
Yeah.
So
Widen it out.
so you could go straight, left, or right? Not really.
If we're talking about it's
Well, I
confusing.
know, but, yeah, I understand that. I mean, there's no sense in making that wider there.
No,
No.
it's already been widened.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so you
All
need,
right.
So really, I'm just seeking board concurrence. If the board concurs that I should move forward with Civil Tech, I'll prepare a resolution for you to vote on at the upcoming meeting, probably the first meeting in October.
And I think they've, Larry built into our financial model our share of the first phase. I can't remember, did we do the second phase in that too, his modeling?
He did not add roughly the roughly the $1 million extra that we're talking about is not built
And
in
that would
that
be the
model.
portion up by Hawthorne.
That would be
and,
the northerly portion that
Lakeview.
we're
Okay.
discussing.
So just so everyone's
An
aware
additional
of
$1
that,
million.
it's just that first phase that's modeled into our local share.
Right.
And what we got grant money for, so we'd have to take
And-
a look at, you'd have to take a look and see if you want.
And if I can
We have
clarify,
actually received how much grant money, or have we received?
it's a 70-30 split.
So how much are we actually out of pocket now?
Out of pocket, we're looking at 4.55 million.
Yeah, but we haven't spent that yet.
No, we haven't.
Right, okay. So, but that'll be our portion,
That will be our portion.
and that's more than 30% or less?
That is with some of the things that are not eligible for local match, that added our percentage higher than that typical 70-30 split.
Okay.
Because there's some local things that are not within the program that they'll participate. So that made our percentage
So does that mean
higher.
like at Hawthorne Parkway and Lakeview?
It's more specifics on whether or not they would pay for right-of-way acquisition and some of the components of it. Will they pay for utility relocations,
All right,
things like that?
so our portion, I guess, potentially could go to 50%.
Right now, it's slated for 45%.
Okay.
And
All right.
I may add also, instead of general fund money, this would be motor fuel tax money.
Okay.
So if that.
All right, so what action do you want us to take tonight?
Should the board concur at a future board meeting, the first meeting in October, I'll prepare a resolution for board consideration and vote, authorizing an increase in their contract. And actually,
Of what, 68,000?
The ordinance will be for entering into a contract with Civil Tech Engineering for $319,616. That would be approximately a $68,000 increase from what we currently have budgeted for this budget year.
Okay, is there a motion to that extent?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second, comments or questions? If none, roll call, please.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz? Trustee Schwartz?
Aye.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda?
Motion carries.
Trustee Cook.
Aye.
Thank you.
Sorry, motion carries. Vernon Hills Championship sign policy on IDOT right away.
Thank you very much. Wanted to present this to the village board in terms of IDOT sign policy. Periodically, we receive requests on adding the many championships that are received within Vernon Hills. So wanted to present what IDOT's policy actually is, and then they do allow some flexibility for, you know, local municipalities. I've given the outline in the board packet. Specifically, IDOT's guidelines are the signs shall be for a state championship. There's allowed to be 2 signs for each post that's installed. They will allow 2 posts in each direction on each state road. The state installs the signs for us. So doing the quick math, we have 4 routes, 2 signs per post, 2 signs, so we're allowed 16 signs within the village. There's pictures of what signs currently exist.
So we got room for 6 more, huh?
So we do.
Okay.
And looking at, you know, currently we have signs up for Jeremy Brazil, our champion wrestler, the Pom Pom Dance signs. Those were recently installed in July. Looking for newer requests, Noah Agnew, he won the 2012 state championships for the high jump. And the Stingers won the 2012 girls fast pitch softball Northern Illinois State Championship. I would have to, you know, just clarify with them that in fact this is a state championship. That's my understanding. But those are the more recent requests.
Are these up right now?
Well,
I mean, we don't have.
Stingers and Noah Agnew is a new request. They are not installed. The ones that are installed currently are the wrestling and pom dance team signage.
Which are essentially on 4 signs.
True.
Right? Or 3? 4. So we got Jeremy Brazil at 4 locations and the dance team. Okay.
Yeah.
So how long do we leave those up?
For 1 year.
Oh, okay. All right.
You know.
Okay.
IDOT takes them down. Their policy is to leave them up for 1 year.
Yeah.
On their schedule, they will take them down. So sometimes you'll see that
Well,
they
we
may.
make them into sign shop.
No, they.
IDOT makes
Oh,
it,
okay.
and they install it. We give them what the language is.
Oh. What do they charge for that? Anything? They must. No?
I think
You
there is
know
a
they do.
reimbursement. They definitely charge us, yeah.
Well,
there's-
they do charge us.
They do.
Well, what do they charge us? You don't know?
Good question. Let me follow up with them on that. I do not have an answer
Okay.
tonight for that.
But they won't let us
Make 'em a
Even though
deal.
we can make
We'll
them, they
make
won't
our
let
own
us make 'em.
signs.
Right. We've asked that question. We volunteered that we would install them too. That's
All right.
part of their firm policy.
All right, so you need a motion on this?
So really, I'm just bringing it to the board's attention. This is their policy. We've
Okay.
had some requests, really clarification. You know, Noah Agnew, Trustee Cook had raised
Right.
that. Do we want to move forward with installing one for Noah? And the Stingers, you know, because we do have locations they could.
Well, the
be
girls that
installed.
we had in there, the 14U.
Right.
Yeah, it's fine. I
I
mean,
think
do
what
we
we-
need a motion on that?
Well, I think what we'd like to do, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, is have all the signs the same way in all locations. Because Dave and I talked about, we've got this bounty of champions in town, which is great, but, you know, can you put your sign at this spot, and then I get my sign right at, 21 and 45, where you got 30,000 ADT, and another spot's only got 12,000. So we wanted to be fair to get, have all these signs the same, and that's what we'd be requesting the state,
All right, is there any, okay, so basically you're just gonna bring this
Basically, I believe the village board would like us to move forward and work with IDOT
Right.
to have the high jump and the stinger signs installed. We'll move ahead with that. The rest of it was maybe more for informational purposes of what the policy is and clarification.
And we'll just churn through them as we get more champions. The signs may be up, as you can tell, some of them are up longer than a year. They don't get around to it.
Do we get
We'll
to keep the
remind them.
signs when they're,
They have no need for the sign. They give them back to us,
You
and
give
we
them to the
try
school?
to find the student. A lot of times they have, once they're installed, they've graduated, they're seniors, and they've moved away. But we've been pretty successful of finding them
Sure.
and getting them a sign because it's something they enjoy.
all right.
I wouldn't suggest this. So, when I was in Pennsylvania last month, some guy built a fence out of aluminum blanks. And he had like an unbelievable number of Pennsylvania state highway signs. He made a fence out of it, huge fence.
Wow.
But
That's
I wouldn't suggest doing that, though.
That would be
shingle
art
our
in the
roof.
eye of the beholder.
Okay, well,
That's recycling.
next item is review and discussion regarding new requirements for automatic fire sprinkler systems in new single-family
They
dwellings.
thought we were never gonna get there.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I can give you a summary of what we've been doing. As the village knows, currently we're on the 2006 edition of the International Model Building Codes. And over the past several months, we've been reviewing the 2012 editions, ultimately to bring before you for consideration so we can update to the current editions of the code. There is one item in there that is significant, so we thought we'd kind of separate that from your consideration of adopting the model building codes so that we could review it with you and discuss it and get your feedback. And that new requirement relates to new detached single-family dwellings. In only new detached single-family dwellings, it is now in the national model codes that they be sprinklered. Again, it's only for new construction. It does not apply to additions, regardless of the size of the addition. You could put an addition on your house that doubles the size of the house, and you don't have to provide sprinklers. And it does not apply to alterations. You can completely remodel your house from top to bottom, and regardless of the cost, the code does not require that your house be sprinklered. It only applies to new single-family homes. A little background, unlike commercial buildings, the code would require that the sprinkler system be designed in accordance with NFPA 13D, and what this means is a lot of different things that brings the cost down. Number one, you can use plastic piping. Certain elements of the structure would not have to be sprinklered. The garage, smaller closets, smaller bathrooms, porches, attics, none of that would have to be sprinklered. You wouldn't have to increase the size of your water service. You could still use the same water service that's coming in. Once it's inside the house, there'd be a Y and a backflow preventer, and then the sprinkler system would go off from there. So,
How often does it have to be inspected?
Once a year.
once a year, it needs a flow test, and then you'd also have to have the RPZ certified. A couple $100 a year
And so,
To the homeowner.
to the homeowner. That's
Right,
correct,
okay.
sir.
who monitors if it gets done or not, or
Well,
is
we-
it just up to the homeowner to do it?
No, it would be the building department if we adapted.
Yeah, the code doesn't specify that, so if it's the board's wish, we would want to amend into the code that, that they register, homes that have a sprinkler system, that they, well, we'd know because we'd know it when we issued the building permit, and that we would require that they submit documentation to us showing that the RPZ and the system have been tested every year. So we can amend that into the code for that. I put together in your packet some discussion points as well. One of them was cost. The ICC building data schedule, their latest information shows that it costs approximately $103 per square foot to build a house. And then using an estimate between a union fee and a non-union fee, it costs on average $1.70 per square foot to install an NFPA 13D system in a house. So I gave you some examples. For example, a 4,000 square foot house, the construction cost without the sprinkler system would be $412,000. The additional cost for the sprinkler system would be $6,800. So the total cost of the house would go from, to build it would go from $412,000 to $418,000. In other words, it's about a 1.7% increase in the overall cost of construction. Now, I don't know if any of us have experienced kitchen remodels, but that $6,800 is probably the cost of new cabinets and not quite covering the granite countertops as well, but just to put it in perspective for you. We also checked into insurance savings. The mayor may want to wish into this. What we found is that it's really not significant. You might save about 10% on your insurance if you have a sprinklered home. So I put that in there for informational purposes, but it's really not a motivation to, it's not a cost incentive to want to install a sprinkler system, at least savings-wise. And then finally, we did a survey. We requested Northwest Municipal Conference to do a survey asking the question, does your municipality require new single-family homes to be sprinklered? That was the specific wording of the question. And of the 19 respondents, 8 of them require full sprinklers. And there was an additional community, Wilmette, that requires them if you use lightweight construction, and I'll get into that later. And then another one, Rolling Meadows, if your house is 4,000 square feet or larger. What we're finding when I looked into this is that as towns are updating to the 2012 code, they're not amending out the requirement to sprinkler homes. Now, since the time of that survey, Gurnee now requires sprinklers in homes, and you may have caught some of those articles in the newspaper where it was considered over a number of meetings. So in essence, the survey shows that 42% of the communities require full sprinklers in new single-family homes.
How much new construction do we have left?
In Greg's Landing, we have 64 lots that are vacant.
64, okay. And if we were to...
Not a lot, yeah.
If we annex something in and...
Yeah, if we annex something in, yeah, something like that. But right now we have 64. I mean, we're single-family home-wise, in all frankness, we all know,
Would this apply to a tear down?
Yeah, a complete tear down it would, because then it would be a new single-family home.
But a
Yeah, okay.
add-on.
So we just wanted to review that with the board. No actions required tonight, unless I'm directed otherwise by the board. We'll just go ahead with the remaining work in getting the updates for the 2012 editions complete and present to you for an update at a future meeting. But it would include...
have to take action on it?
Well, for tonight, I just wanted, because of the sprinkler requirement and
Right.
I just wanted to get that out there for the board, listen to any feedback that you might have before moving forward with adoption of the model building code. So that was the purpose of tonight's meeting.
All right, but so several months from now or after the first
Oh,
of the
well,
year?
no, I think we'll be, excuse me, I didn't understand. We'll be prepared in October, first meeting in October.
okay. Does anybody have, Trustee Cook?
And I'm assuming you gentlemen, this is a good thing, and Chief,
Yes, speaking as a Vernon Hills resident with a sprinklered home for 20-plus years, the obvious life and property saving attributes that a sprinkler system has, we're certainly for it. It's long overdue. The model codes have recognized it finally since 2009. Long Grove has been doing it since 1988 with many success stories. One example in town, while it's not a single family, but just to give you a very sharp contrast, you remember in 2006, we had the fire on Cedar Court in the condo building there. Over $1 million loss. Those people were displaced for about a year. Just last year, after that building was rebuilt, it was sprinklered as a multifamily, which is required by the code now. A kitchen fire was extinguished with one sprinkler head, cleaned up, $1,000 of damage. People were living in there that same night. So I think that says it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I mean, are you aware of, any, accidental triggering of the sprinkler system in a residential home?
We are. I think through solid inspection programs, a lot of those can be avoided. All the myths have been debunked. Sprinkler heads just do not inadvertently go off. You know, obviously, if they're struck by something and damaged, they're no different than any other plumbing in your house.
Right. Yeah, and obviously, they're recessed into the ceilings.
Yeah, very aesthetically pleasing these days.
Right, okay. And Long Grove pretty much has to have them.
Oh,
Yes.
they require.
Mine are not
Right.
recessed, they're
Right.
right up,
Because-
they're sticking
Now,
out.
do those folks have tanks at their houses?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, and that's, most of those places, you know, are on wells, so they
Right.
have a tank and pump system, which
Yeah.
adds some
Right,
cost, you know.
right.
Here in the village with the municipal water system, that's not an issue.
Right, because wasn't there a fire not too long ago where a lot of different towns responded? Was it in Countryside, or was it in oh my God. There was a water issue across the board. Maybe it wasn't us,
Yeah,
But
no,
it
it
was
wasn't
that-
us, sir.
you know. Okay. I mean, I could see a water problem potentially in certain areas, right,
Yeah.
of the district?
Yeah. Yeah, and we have means to address that with drafting hydrants and
Yeah, sure.
water tanker trucks and,
If you got a dry hydrant, this could have been a rough summer, huh?
yes.
Yeah.
Well, I could tell you that in the commons where I live, it's a joke with my daughter. She said I would never die from a fire, I'd probably drowned. Because there's enough sprinklers in there to cover this entire building, I think, in my unit alone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just, every couple of feet, I swear,
Sure.
there's a sprinkler.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Yep.
All
it's a
right,
good thing.
any other comments or questions from anybody?
Mayor, let me just share, Trustee Schultz actually called me since he knew he was going to be out of town. He has some concerns with the cost and maintenance of it, but he can articulate that when it comes to a vote.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I understand the cost and the maintenance of it too, but at the same time, if it saves somebody's life, what's the cost?
Yeah, and certainly we would be happy to work with the board or staff and answer any of those questions.
Sure.
Just briefly, just to put this into perspective as it relates to cost, the new energy code, as it's proposed to be adopted, for a new home would cost $2,000 to $4,000 to comply with the new energy conservation code. So in contrast to sprinklers and as Mike Atkinson said, you know, vinyl siding versus brick and all the various upgrades that folks make when you build a new home are, you know, sprinklers being a life safety and a property saving system.
Is there any
far
reason,
outweigh that.
can I ask a question, is there any reason why they don't require it in an attic of a new home?
The code recognizes that for most single-family homes, that's not the place where fires occur.
Well, even though you had a neighbor he had the fire in their fireplace, and it I guess it blew, you know, across the attic.
Yeah.
And it was burning pretty good before.
Bird nest.
And also, it would substantially increase the price of the system because putting a system in a non-heated area would require air compressors or antifreeze systems and.
Hence the same in the garage.
A dry system is what they have to require.
We are requiring in our district area sprinklers in the garage only through the sidewall, which would be the firewall where the house is. And they are just a simple dry pipe. It doesn't really add a lot of cost to the square footage.
Sure. Okay, well, yeah. All right. Anything else on this one?
Tony, please.
Tony, you gassy?
Just, I might add what Jeff was saying when you asked about the attics. Primary focus of the 13D sprinkler system, which is a residential sprinkler system, is life safety. So what they do is they want to make sure that you have an extra 10 minutes to get out of the house. The result of that design has also been property conservation. It's been shown that 1 or 2 sprinklers put out the fire most of the time. So that's why they didn't focus on areas like the attic originally when they designed the systems, because that's not an area where you're going to try and leave the house.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
So it's your path of egress is one of the things that they focused on protecting originally when they came up with the design for 13.
Okay. All right. All right, so this will come back.
This will come
in the
back
not
at,
too distant
I
future.
anticipate the first meeting in October for consideration of updating all the codes and potentially further discussion on sprinkler systems, it sounds like, based on Trustee Schultz's
All right.
comments.
Thank you. Next is the Vernon Hills Senior Organization bylaws and adoption.
Thank you, Mr. President. In your packet is a summary of the bylaws along with a copy of the revised amended bylaws that the senior organization has been working on in advance of an expected change in the leadership that will take place later this year. The bylaws, which were put in place back in 1995, have not really been updated since that time, and the seniors asked that the staff assist them in doing some minor adjustments to the bylaws as you see them in your packet. The three changes that were added at the request of the seniors were: one, to allow non-residents to become members of the senior organization. This has always been a question on their part as to how to handle non-residents who come and want to participate, and periodically this issue or question comes up, and we ask them, or they ask us, and we conducted a survey of a number of different senior organizations around the surrounding areas, and basically found that they all typically allow non-residents to participate as members. They have specific rules that are put in place for non-residents, and they talk about prioritization of service, prioritization of registering for activities, and the like, that our senior group does not have in place as of yet, but is going to begin to undertake that sometime starting Monday. Seniors felt that allowing non-residents would be a good idea, and allowing them to be a member would be a good idea. They would require, or as a part of their membership fee that they charge, there would be a non-resident rate that would be established. I think the cost difference is about $3. There's a single member and a family member rate that would come into play with regards to that also. So that's the first item. Second item is an updated of the membership application to include a liability waiver and hold harmless agreement. We've had something in place. I don't know if they've been necessarily assigning them as they have applied for the group or the membership. So what we've asked them to do, or what we will work with them to do, is when the applications are put together, that this form is attached to that application. I would also tell you that we have reviewed this with our risk management team, and they have wholeheartedly recommended its approval and use. They felt it was very comprehensive and covered any.
So is it attached?
I'm sorry?
Is it attached?
No, sir. It is not.
Oh.
I can provide a copy if you'd like. The third item is formalization of the lending closet process. Over the years, they've had members or former members who have donated various things: wheelchairs, seats, and various apparatus that a senior may need when they are either temporarily maybe coming out of the hospital and need some type of temporary equipment or apparatus. And they've had this, what they call the lending closet. And what they've asked, what they want to do is kind of formalize how that's being used, and kind of do some more things with it that allow it to be hopefully made more readily available to their members. What they did also say is that they only want this to be available to residents of the village. So the non-resident member of the senior group would not be able to use this at this point. So there'll be a formalized process that will be put in place. And again, this is the start, I think, of the seniors wanting to promulgate some rules that I think they've always kind of been word of mouth. And there's a group of those folks down there who said, we need to put some of this stuff down in writing. And this is the first step in that. The next step will be for the staff to work with them to craft rules for which they can then operate. Again, I think the biggest issue, quite frankly, will be is how do they deal with non-members, and how do they operate within the group itself. So.
And who's the keeper of the sign-out sheet when something's lent?
Well, right now it's up on a bulletin board, I believe. So there's not a, I don't believe there is a quote keeper of the book, so to speak. And that's one of the things that they need to deal with. Again, it's worked okay, but again, with the change in leadership that's anticipated, and the group would like to formalize some more of these things so that they can point to certain rules and say, here's where you can do this, here's why you can't do this, and have everybody buy into it and vote on it,
Okay,
and then
we could probably set up in a computer, right?
We'll figure something out that works for them. So
Okay.
I don't know at this point.
That's all right.
So.
Mayor, now
Like
that
a
our-
library card.
Mayor, now that our generation's getting towards there, there's less trust, so we need more of a system.
Well, no, I mean, just. to
The
keep-
greatest
well, you know,
generations leave.
I mean, just to keep track of it, since somebody was kind enough to donate it, but, it's been an MIA for 2 years, Okay.
At their business meeting on August 21st, the membership voted on the bylaws that are included in your packet and adopted them as drafted. What we have found is that because the village board initially created the seniors organization and its bylaws and does provide funding, it was Bob's suggestion that the board should review the rules and adopt the bylaws as they're attached to your packet.
So you need a motion to,
What it would be a motion to direct the staff to prepare a resolution adopting the Vernon Hills Senior Organization bylaws as attached to your packet.
because they're ordinance created. That's why we have to do it.
That's correct.
Maybe early
Yeah.
80s.
Okay, motion so made.
Since it's an entity of the village, I thought you ought to have a little bit of oversight.
Yeah, and they are
over it.
established by ordinance, so yeah, it's a good
All
idea.
right, so what's the motion?
Have staff direct.
To direct the staff to prepare the necessary resolution adopting the revised bylaws as attached to your packet.
It's our standing motion of so made what he said.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah,
there's a
right.
motion and a second, and council has worked hand in hand on this with,
Yes, I have.
you have,
I have.
that's good. All right,
As a matter of fact.
roll call, please.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda? Trustee Cook?
Aye?
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz? Trustee Schwartz?
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there a motion to adjourn to go into closed session to discuss litigation only?
I'm going to give you a status, so if you'd want to just wait for 2 weeks, I mean, there's no action you'd have to take.
We don't
Oh,
need
so we
to
could
have-
adjourn, you're saying?
We can
If you want
adjourn.
to, yeah, I could give you a few
Okay.
minutes of it, but it's.
Would everybody like to just
Without
adjourn?
going to-
Would
I would like that very much.
That sounds good to me.
Okay, fine. Is there a motion to just adjourn the
So moved.
committee of the whole and not go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Heard it.
Trustee Williams?
Hey.
Aye.
Williams?
I'm sorry. I thought you'd been starting down there.
Trustee Hebda? Trustee Cook?
Aye?
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz? Trustee Schwartz?
Okay, motion carries. Thank you and good evening.
Come on,
Okay.
turn off.